1987 All-Star Game.
Baseball's Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. To be enshrined here is to take a place among the game's all-time All-Stars. Tonight, you'll see a gallery of stars, some of whom will someday be classed among the game's great masters. Boston's Wade Boggs, who along with the Padres' Tony Gwynn, is in pursuit of that 400 season. Ozzie Smith of St. Louis, whose unparalleled defensive artistry makes the Wizard of Oz the top vote-getter in either league. Mike Schmidt, a landmark in Philadelphia after 3 MVPs, 8 home run titles, and 10 gold gloves. Even as a child, he had the fiery eyes of a winner, and he allowed himself a kid's jubilation after his 500th home run. 2 models of consistency, Dale Murphy of Atlanta and Cal Ripken Jr. of Baltimore, year in and year out, as reliable as the Rock of Gibraltar. And the Players' Choice is their MVP, Don Mattingly of the Yankees. Put a bat in his hands, and you'll see a maestro at work. Thunder and lightning in a starting National League outfield of Dawson, Strawberry, and Davis. Each is among the league home run leaders. And one specializes in keeping balls inside the park. And then there are the newcomers like Oakland rookie Mark McGwire, who hopes to follow teammate Reggie Jackson onto the list of perennial All-Stars. Which stars will shine tonight? The canvas is ready in anticipation of yet another baseball masterpiece as NBC Sports presents the All-Star Game. The 1987 All-Star pregame show is brought to you by Aetna and its insurance agents and brokers across America. Work with the best in the business, Aetna. And by Taco Bell. Say hello to fresh, exciting tastes. Just say hello, Taco Bell. Twilight approaches in Oakland. Temperature 71 degrees. A pair of past Cy Young Award winners getting ready. Mike Scott for the National League. Brett Saberhagen for the American League as the American Leaguers try to win back-to-back All-Star games for the first time since 1957 and 58. Hello, everybody. Bob Costas, along with Marv Albert, Vin Scully, and Joe Garagiola will have the call of the game a bit later on. The All-Star Game, as always, plenty of fanfare and some controversy. Despite enjoying outstanding seasons, no Dave Smith, no Vince Coleman for the National League. Kent Herbeck and Rick Rhoden among the missing for the American League. In addition to trying to pair the list of deserving candidates, the league presidents and the managers face an additional dilemma. How to include the all-time All-Stars. Fan favorites, perhaps past their primes, but players of such presence and stature, they always add excitement. In fact, special consideration was given this year to adding Reggie Jackson for one last hurrah here in Oakland. But in the end, they said no. They have done it in the past, though, for Bench and Yaz in '83, for Pete Rose as he closed in on Ty Cobb in '85. Several times in the twilight of his career, Mickey Mantle was added to the American League squad. We asked him how he felt about that.
I was put on 4 or 5 All-Star teams at the end of my career when somebody else should have been there, you know, and I don't like that. I like to see the guys that are having good years, good young kids, you know, that should be on it. It is a big thrill when you're young, you know. Instead of just making an honorary All-Star team, I like to see the guys that are doing good be there, you know, and playing.
NBC Sports agrees with Mantle, and we propose a solution that wouldn't deprive a deserving player of a spot. We think baseball should take a cue from the motion picture industry. On Hollywood's biggest night, they acknowledge their legends with special awards, commemorating their entire careers rather than one specific performance. And so, the likes of Fred Astaire or Jimmy Stewart or Betty Davis have shared the stage with younger stars and often stolen the show as they were greeted with standing ovations. We think baseball should create an extra spot on the All-Star ballot, nominating each year a handful of veteran players for lifetime All-Star Achievement Awards. Then you, the fans, would select one player from each league, and that player would get an extra roster spot rather than taking one away from someone in the prime of his career. After all, no sport relies on tradition and nostalgia as baseball does. And the All-Star Game, in the end, is really a showcase. Wouldn't it be great to see a Nolan Ryan or a Reggie Jackson on a national stage one more time? Maybe for the last time. That's NBC's proposal. When we come back, a more serious issue. Marv Albert talks with Al Campanis when the pregame show continues.
What did you mean by the statement that blacks may not have the necessities to be a field manager or a general manager?
The introduction of the All-Star rosters is just a few minutes away here in Oakland. Marv Albert joins us now. And Marv, when they make up the list of notable developments on the field this year, it'll be tough to choose the top one. But when it comes to off-field incidents, one truly stands out.
Yes, Bob, an off-the-field incident that will historically stand out. The remarks made by former Dodger Vice President Al Campanis on ABC's Nightline last April. Campanis stating that blacks do not have the necessities to become managers or general managers in baseball. Remarks that sparked a furor in all of sports, and it led to the firing of Campanis by Dodger President Peter O'Malley only 48 hours later. It is now 3 months after the fact, and I talked with Campanis about this appearance that sent shockwaves throughout baseball.
No, I don't believe it's prejudice. I truly believe that they may not have some of the necessities to be, let's say, a field manager or perhaps a general manager.
Have you looked at the tape from that night?
Yes.
What strikes you when you see it?
Well, it was very difficult under the circumstances. I had a straight back chair. I'm sitting 5 feet from home plate at the Astrodome, an empty ballpark. You look in the little black box. It's got a light there.
What puzzles me are the answers, because a person of your experience should not necessarily have gotten himself into that kind of bind when asked about why aren't blacks more prominent, as managers or general managers, even though you weren't prepared. Why that kind of answer, though?
Bob, I'm not infallible. I've been in tough situations. Everything's worked out right. This time, it didn't work out exactly the way I would have liked it, but I was not prepared.
What did you mean when you said blacks may not have the necessities to be a field manager or a general manager?
Well, I guess, well, it's like when you send a telegram. Yeah, you cut down on your words, and I made a mistake in not saying, instead of necessities, I should have said necessary experience.
Would you have handled the situation different than Peter O'Malley did?
I don't think he mishandled it. I might have taken more time to finalize it.
It was fast.
It was quick.
People such as Bowie Kuhn and Hank Aaron have pointed out that, ironically, your statements may, in the long run, do more for blacks in baseball than Jackie Robinson did. With that premise in mind, if you had to do it all over again, are you glad that it happened?
Let me just say this. I was disappointed immediately with what happened to Al Campanis. I am so pleased now that if this has been a fulcrum or a springboard for the blacks to improve their chances of becoming managers or general managers, I'm glad that it happened.
On the left, shortstop Al Campanis, as a member of the 1946 Montreal Royals, ironically a teammate and friend of second baseman Jackie Robinson during Robinson's first season of professional baseball. What puzzles me is that Al Campanis strongly feels that he was ambushed by Ted Koppel on Nightline when he was asked the question concerning the lack of black candidates as managers or general managers in baseball. I think he missed the point. Unfortunately, Al Campanis ambushed himself. Bob Costas will be back right after these messages.
It is just about time for the introduction of the All-Star rosters. Let's go to the stadium announcer here, Roy Steele.
And now, let's meet the 1987 National League All-Stars. First, the trainers. From the St. Louis Cardinals, Gene Gieselman. From the San Francisco Giants, Mark Laton. The coaches from the New York Mets, number 28, Bill Robinson. Number 30, Mel Stottlemyre. Number 51, Vern Hochheit. The third base coach from the Houston Astros, number 22, Hal Lanier. The first base coach from the San Francisco Giants, number 38, Roger Craig. And now the non-starters from the Atlanta Braves, number 3, Dale Murphy. From the Chicago Cubs, number 40, Rick Sutcliffe. Number 46, Lee Smith. From the Cincinnati Reds, number 6, Bo Diaz. Number 31, John Franco. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, number 28, Pedro Guerrero. Number 55, Oro Hershiser. From the Montreal Expos, number 7, Hubie Brooks. Number 29, Tim Wallach. Number 30, Tim Raines. From the New York Mets, number 17, Keith Hernandez. Number 50, Sid Fernandez. From the Philadelphia Phillies, number 8, Juan Samuel. Number 40, Steve Bedrosian. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, number 48, Rick Rochelle. From the St. Louis Cardinals, number 51, Willie McGee. From the San Diego Padres, number 19, Tony Gwynn. From the San Francisco Giants, number 00, Jeffrey Leonard. And in the bullpen from the Atlanta Braves, number 9, Ozzie Virgil. And now the National League starters. Manager of the 1987 National League All-Star team, he led his team to the World Championship with unforgettable come-from-behind victories in both the League Championship and World Series. From the New York Mets, number 5, manager Davey Johnson. Leading off, the National League leader in home runs with 27 and slugging percentage at .694. Making his All-Star debut from the Cincinnati Reds, number 44, left fielder Eric Davis. Batting second, a 4-time Gold Glove winner. He recently returned from the disabled list with a home run and 2 RBIs in a 2-for-3 first game. From the Chicago Cubs, number 23, second baseman Ryne Sandberg. Among the National League leaders in RBIs, home runs, slugging percentage, hits, and game-winning RBIs. Batting third and playing center field from the Chicago Cubs, number 8, Andre Dawson. The 1986 National League MVP, among league leaders again this year in home runs and RBIs, batting fourth, playing third base. From the Philadelphia Phillies, number 20, Mike Schmidt. Batting fifth, leading the majors in RBIs with 86. Game-winning RBIs with 13. From the St. Louis Cardinals, number 22, first baseman Jack Clark. Hitting .600 in his 3 previous All-Star games. The first National Leaguer to be elected as an All-Star starter in each of his first 4 seasons. Batting 6th for the New York Mets, number 18, right fielder Darryl Strawberry. Twice voted the All-Star MVP. He has hit .313 in 8 All-Star games. Batting 7th for the New York Mets, number 8, catcher Gary Carter. This year's top vote getter in the fan balloting played in his 7th All-Star game, batting 8th for the St. Louis Cardinals, number 1, shortstop Ozzie Smith. Warming up in the bullpen, batting 9th, the 1986 National League Cy Young Award winner, currently leading the National League with 148 strikeouts from the Houston Astros, number 33, pitcher Mike Scott. And now for the American League. First, the trainers from the Oakland Athletics, Barry Weinberg. From the Seattle Mariners, Rick Griffin. The coaches from the Cleveland Indians, number 7, Pat Corrales. The first base coach from the Chicago White Sox, number 18, Jim Fregosi. The third base coach from the Oakland A's, number 10, Tony La Russa. In the bullpen from the Boston Red Sox, number 34, Bill Fisher. From the Oakland A's, number 15, Renee Laxman. And now the non-starters. From the Boston Red Sox, number 24, Dwight Evans. Number 47, Bruce Hurst. From the California Angels, number 39, Mike Witt. From the Chicago White Sox, number 3, Harold Bain. From the Cleveland Indians, number 10, Pat Tabler. From the Detroit Tigers, number 3, Alan Trammell. Number 47, Jack Morris. From the Kansas City Royals, number 33, Kevin Seitzer. From the Milwaukee Brewers, number 37, Dan Plesac. From the Minnesota Twins, number 34, Kirby Puckett. From the New York Yankees, number 19, Dave Righetti. From the Oakland A's, number 25, Mark McGwire. Number 50, Jay Howell. From the Seattle Mariners, number 4, Harold Reynolds. Number 12, Mark Langston. From the Texas Rangers, number 15, Larry Parrish. From the Toronto Blue Jays, number 1, Tony Fernandez. Number 50, Tom Henke. And from the Detroit Tigers, number 33, Matt Noakes. And now the American League starters. Manager of the Year in 1986, former Oakland A's skipper and current manager of the American League champion Red Sox, the American League manager, John McNamara. A 7-time American League stolen base leader, he established the American League record for leadoff homers. From the New York Yankees, the center fielder, number 24, Ricky Henderson. Batting second and playing first base, the only major leaguer to win an RBI title, batting title, and MVP award in his first 3 seasons. From the New York Yankees, number 23, Don Mattingly. 3-time American League batting champion, leading again this season with a .375 average, hitting third, playing third base. From the Boston Red Sox, number 26, Wade Boggs. Batting cleanup, the American League's leading RBI man was 76 at the All-Star break. The left fielder from the Toronto Blue Jays, number 11, George Bell. Owner of a .393 average in his 10 previous All-Star games. Batting fifth, the New York Yankees right fielder, number 31, Dave Winfield. The shortstop who led major leaguers at his position for 4 straight years at RBIs and homers, hitting 6th for the American League. The Baltimore Orioles Iron Man, number 8, Cal Ripken. Batting 7th and entering the game with a .333 All-Star game average. Also for the Baltimore Orioles, the catcher, number 15, Terry Kennedy. Yankee co-captain, hitting .309 at the All-Star break and batting 8th in this evening's game. The second baseman, number 30, Willie Randolph. The 1985 Cy Young Award winner and a 15-game winner so far this season, batting in the ninth and warming up in the bullpen. From the Kansas City Royals, pitcher number 18, Brett Saberhagen. Ladies and gentlemen, baseball is honored to have 2 of its greatest players serving as honorary captains for tonight's game. The 1961 National League Rookie of the Year, he spent most of his career with the Chicago Cubs, but finished his playing days with the Oakland A's. Now a coach for the Cubs, a 1987 Hall of Fame inductee, the National League honorary captain, Billy Williams. And for the American League, this Cy Young Award winner pitched the only perfect game in Oakland A's history and helped the A's to 3 consecutive World Championships. Please welcome home to the Oakland Coliseum, 1987 Hall of Fame inductee, the American League honorary captain, Jim Catfish Hunter. Ladies and gentlemen, baseball recently lost a valued friend. He was the victorious manager of the 1986 American League All-Star team, skipper of the 1985 World Champion Kansas City Royals, and member of the 1961 American League All-Star team. One of baseball's most respected managers. Please observe a moment of silence in the memory of Dick Hauser. And now to sing the Canadian and American national anthems, please welcome the Crown Princes of Motown, the Four Tops.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With growing heart we see thee ride, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And now to honor America, the Star-Spangled Banner.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
In just a few moments, Eric Davis of the Reds will step into the batter's box to face Brett Saberhagen of the Royals, and the 1987 All-Star Game will be underway. Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola are standing by to call it after this from NBC News. A perfect night for baseball in terms of fan comfort, but the twilight might give the advantage to the pitchers, Brett Saberhagen and Mike Scott to start. Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola will, in fact, take to the microphones right after we bring you these messages from your local stations.
Tonight, watch for previews of an all-star lineup. Crazy. America's getting a private eye and a crime-busting billionaire. You'll spend a year in the life, watch Playboys become pops, and see a Cosby kid in college.
Oh, it's wonderful.
The All-Stars are coming home to you.
Put out your welcome mat.
NBC Sports presents the 1987 All-Star Game. Tonight's game is brought to you by Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Center. By Aetna and its insurance agents and brokers across America. Work with the best in the business, Aetna. And by the heartbeat of America, today Chevy Trucks. everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. Welcome to the Oakland Coliseum and the 1987 All-Star Game. It started with Babe Ruth touching them all in Chicago, through Joe DiMaggio and Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski and Johnny Bench, right up to the moment. It is, without a doubt, baseball's greatest showcase.
Just as you mentioned those names, it jars your memory. But you know, we know about the stars, but the guys that had the All-Star years and they go to an All-Star game, that's the big thing. Like in this year's, Matt Noakes, who would have thought he'd be here? And then how about McGuire, Mark McGuire, who put on such an exhibition in batting practice in his own home park. Isn't that great?
Oh, and the fact that he's redhead didn't influence my vote even one bit. And how about Pat Tabler and Harold Reynolds? Kids in your wildest dreams didn't figure to be in the All-Star game, and yet here they are. And not only here they are, but here are the pitchers who are going to be asked to hit. And I guess, Joe, really, there should be a meeting of the mind, because if there ever is a game that would cry for a designated hitter, it would be and should be the All-Star game.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that should happen, and I also think I'd love to see an expanded roster to bring back those players that have played for so many years that the fans want to see but didn't have the All-Star years. Bring them back and just let them walk around, let the fans see them.
I just thought they have brought back two. We'll be looking at an honorary captain, and that will be Billy Williams. We'll be looking at Catfish Hunter in Oakland. Wow, we'll see a lot, and we'll have a lot more right after this message from Aetna and its insurance brokers and agents throughout the United States. A magnificent late afternoon, early evening here in Oakland. You can take your pick. And the American League All-Stars, the host team, take the field. Now it is time for the first ball ceremony, and the honor will go to Larry Doby, the first black to play in the American League. He threw out the first ball for tonight's 58th All-Star game. He was a six-time All-Star, managed the Chicago White Sox, and, of course, the transition from 40 years ago, because baseball has announced that the Rookie of the Year award henceforth will be called the Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year. So the torch was passed to this very day. Jackie Robinson to Larry Doby throwing out the first ball. It is a beautiful evening, however, maybe not if you have to come up and try and hit fastballs and sliders. It should be pointed out there have been 3 twilight games in Oakland this year, and the total batting average at twilight, 222. In the first 5 innings of the 3 twilight games here, would you believe the total batting average? 198. And how about this? There has been 1 home run given up here in those 3 twilight games. It was hit by Reggie Jackson, and the pitcher was Brett Saberhagen.
I think they'll be all right, at least for the first inning, Vin, but after that, when those shadows really start to creep over, then it could be a problem. Be a problem to the infielders, too, seeing that ball come off the bat.
Brett Saberhagen, 15-3, going up against Mike Scott. It's the second time a pair of pitchers who previously won the Cy Young Award have started the All-Star game. The previous time, 1978, Jim Palmer started for the American League and Vida Blue on the mound for the National League. So Brett Saberhagen has concluded his warm-ups, and here we go. Eric Davis, Ryan Sandberg, and then Andre Dawson.
If he keeps his pattern, Saberhagen, good fastball, change-up, has a curveball, but he'll work that curveball in slowly. That fastball's his
for the National League, number 44.
The West is not only the site of the setting sun, perhaps in some degrees it has been setting ball clubs. And it is really pointed up when you realize that Eric Davis is the only player from the Western Division in either league voted to start. But what a player. In on the hands, ball 1, 1-0. There are already a lattice work of shadows in the hole at shortstop, and they are advancing towards the mound. There they are, and that's just the beginning of it. Chopper hits slowly to shortstop. Davis has a bad leg, so he's not running 100%, and Cal Ripken throws him out. 1 away. A little note as to the continuity. We were talking about Jackie Robinson and Larry Doby. The honorary coaches tonight, Billy Williams and Catfish Hunter. If you go back to the 1973 All-Star game, Catfish Hunter was the starter, and a hitter hit a line drive back at the box, and it fractured Catfish Hunter's right thumb. The fellow who hit the ball, Billy Williams. Here's Ryne Sandberg, the Prince Valiant of the Cubs. And he's a little late on a pitch, fouls it away.
His bad ankle, his right ankle, is taped, and he's also wearing a special brace. Remember, he stepped on the bag in one of our Game of the Weeks. He thought that the bag was a little bit higher than normal and just skidded. He wears spikes all the time, so it wasn't those rubber cleats.
Typical of him, when he came back off the DL, his first at-bat, he hit a home run in Wrigley Field. Ryne Sandberg was a 20th round draft pick. Kind of shocking to realize he came that low or high, however you wish to put it. On deck, Andre Dawson. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's James Catfish Hunter, the pride of North Carolina, Oakland, and New York. Boy, was he something. 1-2 to count to Sandberg. Fouled away off to the right, out of play, so Brett Saberhagen is able to come inside and jam Sandberg each time.
Well, his plan is to work that curveball in slowly, but on the time being what it is, you really do a hitter a favor when you let up. If you've got that good fastball like he has, that's what you want to throw.
Sandberg checked with Jim Sundberg about Saberhagen. Curveball hit slowly to third base. Bob's right at the bag to take care of it. So 2 down in the first inning. And that will bring up Andre Dawson. For Andre Dawson, of course, he was the eye of the storm after having been hit in the face by a pitch from Eric Shao. One reason, and we're not taking either side, but if you don't pitch inside to Andre Dawson, you're in the minor league. You're unemployed, and it is no accident that he has led the National League in being hit by pitches 4 straight years.
He really dives into the pitch.
And he probably dives into that pitch and hits it inside the left field foul line and down in the corner. George Bell playing the carom, and Andre Dawson steams into second base with a line drive double. So the first hit in the twilight is a double into the left field corner.
He wasn't about to let Saberhagen get ahead of him and jumps on the first pitch, a fastball. That's been the pattern on all the hitters, and he really hits it hard down the line. Mike Schmidt's another fellow that doesn't like to take a lot of pitches. He likes to get going right now, and when you do get 2 strikes on him, you do keep that ball away, but he, like Dawson, will like that ball inside.
So Andre Dawson waiting to be picked up, and Mike Schmidt trying to do that, but he pops the first one in the air foul. Terry Kennedy coming over to the photographer's well, and he can't get it. That should bring up a point. When you come into Oakland Coliseum for the first time, you notice 2 things. The deep so-called power alleys in left center and right center are only .375. That makes it a small part. However, the foul line and the foul territory, probably the largest in the major leagues, the way it was, let's say, in Atlanta before they brought the stands in closer to the diamond. So that certainly takes away from the hitter, giving the defense a chance to handle foul balls. 1-1 to Mike Schmidt, who began the year with 495 home runs and hit the one he really wanted, number 500 in Pittsburgh. And it was a typical Mike Schmidt home run, no window dressing. The Phillies were losing by a run with 2 out in the 9th when he hit it. 1-2.
So far, that was the best curveball he threw, and he had it in a real good spot. It was outside part of the plate, curveball down where it should be, and Mike feels that when you hit the breaking ball, you're hitting the pitcher's pitch, so Saberhagen had him swinging at his pitch.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Saberhagen, who might very well become the youngest man ever to win his 2nd Cy Young Award. He's only 23. Check swing, little roller wide to third. Boggs is on it and throws him out. So Dawson is left at second with his double at the end of half an inning. Nationals nothing, American coming up.
The preceding was furnished by Major League Baseball.
32-year-old Mike Scott, last year's Cy Young Award winner, pitching to Ricky Henderson. And we better get this in a hurry. There have been 4 leadoff home runs in an All-Star game. The 4, Frankie Fridge, Luke Woodrow, Willie Mays, and Joe Morgan. Of course, Henderson has a habit of doing that. In a sense, he has come home. The A's traded him to the Yankees before the '85 season. They received Jay Howell and 4 youngsters, and of course, Henderson has certainly found a home at Yankee Stadium. See with Henderson, you had better be ready. 2-1 to count to Rick. Fastball hit up the middle there. Sandberg to backhand it and to throw him out. That'll give us a chance to tell you a little bit about Mike Scott as he tunes up. 10-5 with the league, leading the majors in strikeouts with Mark Langston.
Hit that ball hard right past Scott, but Sandberg, bad ankle or not, good fielder backhands it. Makes a good play, but that's why they're here.
So Ryan Sandberg takes one away from Henderson, and now here is Don Mattingly, and he hits it back off the glove of Scott. Scotty chasing it, no play, and Henderson is aboard. So Mattingly bangs it off Scott's glove.
Looked like Scott was in position, but when you release that ball, you always think it's hit harder than it actually is, and he really double reached for it, and it got by him, and once it got by him, there was no play. Boggs, who compares hitting against Scott like batting against Jack Morris, says, I'm going to try to hit him up the middle and towards the left field line.
Wade Boggs, with Mattingly at first, takes a strike. Interestingly enough, he is such a great hitter. They make some points about him, like he has popped up to the infield 4 times this year. And in over 1,600 pitches, he has swung and missed only 28 times. And he hits that one up the middle. Sandberg backhands, feeds Smith, who gets not enough on the throw to Clark, so it's a force play.
If you didn't know any better, you'd say the strategy for the American League is to hit it up the middle.
Boggs, as usual, making contact when Sandberg was playing him there. And actually, by the time Ozzie Smith got it, he could not get anything on the throw as he tried to get out of the way of the sliding Mattingly. So Boggs is aboard, and George Bell checking in. George Bell, along with Juan Samuel, Pedro Guerrero, and Tony Fernandez, all from the little town of San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican Republic. He and Mike Schmidt are the only players to have at least 25 home runs and 85 RBIs and better than a .275 average each of the last 3 years. That's how consistent a player he is. Ball 2.
As an added aside, Gary Carter has been Mike Scott's severest critic as far as scuffing the ball. He's got the first hand now. If Scott would scuff one, Carter would go straight up.
You know, they were also talking about Roger Craig, saying, I wonder what would happen if I went out to the mound and protested. He's now on the same team. 2 balls and no strikes to count. High fly ball into straightaway in shallow center. Andre Dawson and Ozzie Smith, and the Oz says he'll take it, and he does. So no run, an infield single, and a man left. And at the end of an inning, no score. As we go to the second inning, it'll be Jack Clark, Darryl Strawberry, and Gary Carter. On the line score, you'll see an error charged to the National League on that comebacker that got away from Mike Scott. He will be charged with the error. Jack Clark, in a recent series with the Giants, his old ball club, they walked him 8 times in 12 at-bats. Earlier, he had tied a National League record with 6 walks in a doubleheader. To give you an idea of the respect he had.
Well, that chase the breaking ball, you can see why, because he doesn't give in to any pitcher. If it's King Kong, he's going to get 3 hard swings, and he'll chase the bad ball when you get 2 strikes, but try to get 2 strikes.
Off speed, a high change inside. Ball 1, 1-0.
That scouting report is a consensus that NBC made with scouts throughout the league, and we'll agree and disagree as we see.
Yeah. Ball 2-0. For Jack, of course, it brings back memories. He played in his first All-Star game as a 22-year-old outfielder with the San Francisco Giants back in 1978. He's homered against every team in the National League, but not quite in every ballpark as he pops this one up. And it'll be Mattingly shielding his eyes from the glare. Makes the play. He needed sunglasses and everything else he could get.
It's a high sky here. There are no clouds up there. Those little angels that help you. And Mattingly, black under his eyes, glasses, battling it all away, and finally makes the play. When Clark makes a pop fly out, it is a major league pop fly out.
So we have one away, and Clark goes back to the pitch, and the batter is Darryl Strawberry. 0-1. Strawberry, the only National League player to start in each of his first 4 seasons in the majors. And he's 3 for 5 in his previous game. In there, 1-1. Strawberry, multi-talented. Last 4 years, over 100 home runs and 100 stolen bases. 2 balls, 1 strike to Darryl. 1 away in the second. Brett Saberhagen, 15-3. Fastball hit to the right side. Right there's Willie Randolph to take care of him. So one New Yorker rolls to the other. And with 2 down, the batter will be Gary Carter. Gary's an old hand at these things and a very successful star. He's been the MVP in 1981 and 84. It's his 7th year as a starting National League catcher. Oddly enough, in his first All-Star game in '75, he caught a fly ball off the bat of Rod Carew for the last out of the game. Fastball grounded to short. Cal Ripken Jr. is there. That takes care of Carter and the National League. And at the end of an inning and a half, no score, and Dave Winfield, the big cannon, will be wheeled into position for the American League to start it off. No score, bottom of the second inning. Dave Winfield, Cal Ripken Jr., and then Terry Kennedy. Dave Winfield is the oldest starter for the American League. He'll be 36 in October. He is in his 11th straight All-Star game. So he doesn't have any secrets, but yet, what do the scouts have to say about Winfield? How do you pitch to him? Well, you can bet that the Nationals put their heads together.
It's another one of those free swingers, and that chase bad pitches is pretty good advice, but you have to get ahead of him. I would think that Scott would really try to get a strike with that split finger fastball, and he has 2 of them that he throws. He starts one kind of high and let it drop in, and when he gets 2 strikes, he'll let that bottom drop out.
So Dave Winfield leading it off here in the bottom of the second inning, no score. I guess we should have figured in a maternity ward that particular day that Dave Winfield was going to make an impact on baseball. Dave was born that fateful day when Bobby Thompson hit the home run for the Giants to beat the Dodgers October the 3rd, 1951. Shot inside third and down the line. Going into the corner to get it is Eric Davis, and Winfield breezing into second base with a stand-up double, and that's leading off the inning.
Winfield, he's a hacker up there. He doesn't give in any strikes, and he leads the All-Stars as far as doubles, and when you talk about jumping on a pitch, that's exactly what he did.
You notice Eric Davis playing left field. Andre Dawson is playing center because Eric Davis has a sore ankle. So Winfield opens up with a double, and Cal Ripken Jr. trying to pick him up. No score, bottom of the second inning. The Ripken family certainly well represented, especially now that Billy has been called up from Rochester to go along with Cal Jr. and Sr. 4-1. And of course in the Bay Area, when you talk about families on one ball club, they look across the bay to San Francisco in 1963 when you had Matty Alou, Jesus Alou, Felipe Alou. Big fella, he's 6'4". He's the tallest regular shortstop around and really put together. 1 ball, no strikes. And he goes the other way. Leaping catch by Clark. The lob to Smith. Double play.
Clark makes a good play coming up with that ball, but he makes a better play by allowing Ozzie Smith to really get there. Winfield knows it's a base hit in his mind. He breaks now. He's going to be caught in no man's land. And Clark is waiting, and you'll see Smith come across. Good play.
You know, it's no surprise if you look at the National League starting infield. There are 21 gold gloves, and Clark doesn't have one. But the others really spark. Ball one. Mike Schmidt at third has 10 gold gloves. Ozzie Smith has 7 gold gloves. Ryan Sandberg has 4. That must be a platinum glove for Jack.
You see, Clark has the ball right there, and he really waited, and good thing he did. That was a good play to make. Better to wait for Smith.
1-0 the count, and Terry. A little bit out in front on that one.
Boy, Ozzie Smith and Sandberg really deep in the infield. You can see Terry Kennedy obviously not known for his speed, so they're really cutting down all the angles. They're way back. Smith is on the grass.
Terry checks, and it's in there for a strike. And the count 1-2.
Here's where I'd look for that split finger fastball that just the bottom drops out.
1-2. And he kept it away as well, so down goes Kennedy. So no runs, 1 hit, and nobody left. At the end of 2, no score. And due up, the Wizard of Oz. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. What's the best defensive play Ozzie Smith ever made? Well, we asked him, and he said, it was back when I was with San Diego. Jeff Burroughs of Atlanta was hitting, and it was a bad hop hit to my left. Now, watch what happened. Hard to believe. Almost up the middle. Now it's going to veer to his right, and he barehands it as he goes down on his knees and got up and threw him out. Strike. 0-1, Dozzie. 7 consecutive gold gloves. The toughest man in the National League to strike out. I guess his greatest memory offensively in the '85 championship series, after 3,009 at-bats as a pro left-handed, he hit a home run to win the game. 2 balls, 1 strike. On deck, Tony Gwynn to bat for Mike Scott. Rick Sutcliffe has just concluded in the bullpen. No score, top of the 3rd. Now back. So those shadows have now lengthened like long fingers reaching out across second base. And Sutcliffe will be out there reaching towards home plate in a while. Brett Saberhagen has allowed 1 hit, a double into the left field corner by Andre Dawson. Little fly ball to left. George Bell coming up for him. So 1 away, and Tony Gwynn will bat for Mike Scott. We asked Terry Kennedy because he was a teammate of Tony Gwynn's, and of course now he's trying to dream up ways of getting Wade Boggs out. What's the difference between Tony Gwynn and Wade Boggs? And Terry said Gwynn will get base hits on bad balls. Boggs only swings at strikes. For a strike. He's another tough man to strike out. About every 21 at-bats. Ozzie Smith's about every 24. Fouled off. 0-2 the count to Tony Gwynn. 1 away. Mike Scott went 2 innings, allowed a hit, and was saved on a leaping catch by Jack Clark at the line drive hit by Ripken.
Here's where you'll see the difference now. He supposedly is in a hole, no balls, 2 strikes.
Curveball, and it's a big chopper to shortstop. Ripken takes care of it. So 2 down. Friends, the 1987 All-Star Game is brought to you by Buick and your Buick dealers. Buick, where better really matters. By Miller Genuine Draft, cold-filtered draft beer. It's as real as it gets. And by Epson America. When you've got Epson, you've got a lot of company. Davis grounded to short in the first inning. Eric 0 for 1. They're going to check at first base. Swing, says Dick Stello. Stello working his second All-Star game. He worked back in '77. 8th round draft pick by the Reds back in 1980. And until this year, didn't play very much. In fact, his lifetime batting average was only .259. It didn't sound like an All-Star. 1-1. Ground ball to third. Right there's Boggs. So an easy inning. And at the end of 2.5 innings, no score, the National and the American. Let's turn the clock back on Brett Saberhagen. Here he was at 11. Strike one to Willie Randolph as we go to the bottom of the third inning, and Rick Sutcliffe is now on the mound for the National League. Alan Trammell is on deck to hit for Brett Saberhagen. So it'll be Randolph, Trammell, and Henderson. Hit foul down the right field line, out of play. Rick Sutcliffe working on Willie Randolph. The Yankees remained atop the heap despite injuries to Mattingly and Henderson, and those who watch them every day say tremendous contributions by Willie Randolph and Dave Winfield carried the team offensively. 12 years as the Yankee second baseman.
His whole attitude has changed this year as far as hitting. For example, a man on second base in past years, he said, I got to get him over to third. This year, he says, I'm going to drive him in. He's gotten a lot more aggressive and pulls the ball more this year.
He's very good at leading off an inning. And he hits one in the air to left center. Moving over, however, is Davis to make the play. So Randolph, a long out to left. One away, and Alan Trammell will be coming in. Rick Sutcliffe is the new pitcher. At 6'7", a rather conspicuous figure. Sutcliffe, a 12-game winner, a former Cy Young Award winner, and recently winner of the Roberto Clemente Community Service Award. Rick donates $100,000 a year to Chicagoland charities, so a worthy recipient. Alan Trammell, solid fixture for the Detroit Tigers. Look at those numbers. Ball, missing ball one.
Sutcliffe is known in the trade as hooking the ball, and here's what they mean. See how he kind of crooks that his wrist and then fires it.
One hopper off the glove of Ozzie Smith and on out into center field.
Wouldn't you know?
So Trammell off the bench, one shortstop drills it to the left of the other, and the batter will be Ricky Henderson. Here's another look.
Tries to short hop it, and Ozzie just can't come up with it, and when he doesn't, it's almost news.
And they also have not flashed yet base hit or error. Meanwhile, with Trammell aboard, here is Ricky Henderson. And it will be an E6.
They call that on the player.
And even the crowd doesn't like it. So that's the second error charged to the National League.
As far as strategy is concerned, both managers say, hey, these guys are talented, we're going to let them play. So they're not looking to play hit and run. Most players are on their own as far as stealing and doing whatever. And maybe late in the game there'll be some strategy.
No score here in the third. One away, Trammell aboard on the error. And Ricky Henderson at the plate, and John McNamara trying to win one, give the American League back-to-back victories for the first time since back in '57 and '58. But you know what a lesson for all of us. 1 year ago, Dick Hauser was managing the American League to a victory. 1 short year ago. Pitch out by Carter, but Trammell holding. Ricky Henderson trying to move Trammell along. Ricky was born in Chicago, but he grew up here in Oakland. You might remember he set a major league record with 137, 5 years ago in 1982. He was a 4th round draft pick by the Oakland A's back in 1976. And in the '82 All-Star game, went 3 for 4. He grounded out in the first inning. So Ricky 0 for 1. Trammell is going. Off-speed pitch is hit in the air to right center. Dawson comes over. They tried to put a fake on Trammell to make him believe it was a ground ball, but he wouldn't go for it. So Henderson, a fly ball, and Trammell back to the bag. And the hitter will be Don Mattingly.
First baseman, Don Mattingly.
Trammell, he sees the ball away. He will not take the fake. He hears it hit. He finds the ball. He's been playing a couple games in his life, so he knows exactly what to do and easily makes it back. Never believe an infielder. Sutcliffe takes a long time to get rid of that ball. Trammell had a pretty good jump.
So with 2 down, here is Don Mattingly, a $22,000 bonus player back in 1979. Would you believe he was a 19th round draft pick? The American League MVP in 1985 just seems to be getting better and better. 2 down, 3rd inning, no score. Fastball away. 2-0. On deck, Wade Boggs. Full house, probably somewhere around 48,000. They broke ground here in 1964, and the first event was in 1966, and then the A's came here in 68.
With Roger Craig on a National League bench, you see Gary Carter checking that bench because Roger loves to call those pitch outs, and he's been so successful.
2 balls, no strike. I think Terry Kennedy said he thought that John McNamara was going to allow him to call his own pitch outs.
He was, and is. But there's Roger who calls the pitch outs, and he's been pretty good about it.
And if he bases it on runners, which he does a lot of times, he certainly knows Alan Trammell from his days with Detroit. Right. Ball 4 to Mattingly. So with 2 on and 2 out, Rick Sutcliffe goes head-to-head with Wade Boggs, who hit into a force play in the first inning.
Boggs, who normally takes the first pitch, he wants to get a good look at that ball. Good inside out swing, hits that ball up the middle into the left side towards the left field line. When he looks at that defense, he's got a great idea up there.
It was interesting to break down Wade Boggs' batting. As far as the count is concerned, he's scary. You know, you figure you have a no ball, 2-strike count on a hitter, you're really way ahead of him. But that doesn't hold up with Boggs. You know what he hits when the count goes 0-2? Over 390. Strike. Big overhand curveball.
He waits on that ball, and with 2 strikes, that's why he guards it, likes the ball inside. Willing to take a pitch or 2, that's an understatement. He likes 2 strikes, he waits on that ball, and he'll hit it to the opposite field.
I hate to tell you what he hits when he's ahead in the count. How about 490? He plays a totally different game.
Oh, they talked about the live ball. I said he hit 325. He was hitting bowling balls.
1-1 to Wade Boggs. Checked up. They're going to look down at third. No swing, says Vic Potapio. In fact, that's Cowboy Joe West of the National League at third.
Been no shadows as we look at that swing or not swing or whatever you want to call it, as long as you're umpiring. The shadows will start to be a factor in a minute.
And he lips one in the air to Andre Dawson. Andre takes care of it, so no runs, no hits. An error, 2 left, and at the end of 3, no score. Harold Reynolds of the Seattle Mariners will now take over at second base. Willie Randolph goes out. And also, since Alan Trammell batted for Brett Saberhagen, we need a new pitcher, and it is Jack Morris. On the 4th of July last year, Morris was 7-6, and he decided to quit using his split-fingered fastball as much as he was relying on it and go back to his slider. Well, since July 4th of last year, he is 26-6. If you're keeping score, Harold Reynolds will bat 8th, Morris will bat 9th, and it'll be Ryne Sandberg, Andre Dawson, and then Mike Schmidt in the 4th inning. No score.
There's a good shot of the shadow effect here in the ballpark. Now the batter is in complete shadow. That's going to make it tough for the infielders to pick up that ball. There you see a good view. Now it starts to get a little bit rugged.
Now you can understand why those 3 twilight games here were so tough. There have been 2 other twilight games recently. In 1984 at Candlestick Park, the National League won that game 3-1. And in 1980 at Dodger Stadium, the National League won 4-2. And in that game, there was a shutout till the 5th inning. High foul off to the right and out of play, and the count 1-1.
You know, for Terry Kennedy, it's a great experience for him to be on the American League squad coming over from the National League because he's catching a lot of pitchers that he's hit against. He really is learning a little bit more about them, and that's really the vantage point is when you're catching these guys and you really get a chance to see what that ball's doing.
He's the real connection between the two teams. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ball 2, 2-1. It's interesting, the two competitors that we have in here on the mound with Rick Sutcliffe going against Jack Morris. When Andre Dawson was hit, they tell me one of the first persons off the Cub bench was Rick Sutcliffe. Chopper to the hole at short, backhanded by Ripken, the long throw in time. And when the Rangers got into a brawl with Detroit, Jack Morris was first off the bench. Let's go to Marv Albert.
All right, Ben, this is Baseball Commissioner Peter Uberoff. I'm wondering what your reaction is to NBC's proposal on the pregame show calling for the lifetime achievement positions established for the All-Star game, which would allow fans to vote for people such as Reggie Jackson and Nolan Ryan to make the squad, perhaps one such candidate per league. What's your feeling about it?
It's a good idea. We ought to think about those things. That's the tradition of this game. When I could see everyone turn out for the old-timers, the guys that are still real active at the end of their careers last year or so, we should be able to do it. It's a good idea.
How about the DH utilizing the All-Star game?
DH, you won't see it today. It doesn't look like anyone's going to have a pitcher bat. But I'm going to ask that next year we put the DH in for the All-Star game, both sides, because there's too many good hitters on the bench people want to see.
Peter, we were told that you and consultant Harry Edwards met secretly yesterday along with several notable black players. The end result, a proposal that would establish a pool of black candidates for jobs as coaches and managers in the minor leagues. Is that accurate? Will it happen?
Well, it was no secret. We just called, modern-day players who are stars like Winfield and Baylor and the rest. Recent players like Joe Morgan and some all the way back to Larry Doby. They came together to help us get this job done in a positive sense. Let's get out of the press. Let's do fair employment. Don't put anybody in a job they don't deserve. Don't push anybody when it's not right. But let's let the baseball players take over and help solve the problems. They said we'll do it.
All right, let's get back upstairs. Vin and Joe.
Well, here's Mike Schmidt with 2 out. You probably noticed that Andre Dawson struck out on a check swing. And Mike Schmidt grounded to third in the first inning. No runs, 1 hit, 2 errors for the National. No runs, 1 hit, no errors for the American. Jack Morris and Rick Sutcliffe battling it out now. 1-1. Now that Oakland has hosted the All-Star game, only Texas and Toronto have never had the thrill of hosting a star game, and I'm sure that's just around the corner. 1-1. 1-2. 8 in a row retired since Andre Dawson doubled, and it looked like that was a split finger job coming up.
That could be a decoy. Never trust a pitcher when he's putting that ball out to where you can see it like that. Mike Schmidt's a guy who likes to keep his hands above that ball. Here's that spot where they try to say he can chase it outside, but they'll pound him inside.
And he goes the other way to right. Winfield will have to play it on a bounce. So Schmidt a turn and a holding with a 2-out single that will bring up Jack Clark.
That was really a great swing by Mike Schmidt because it looked like you could go the outside part to play with him, but Morris had some pretty good information to try to jam him inside. Mike did not really have that big home run swing of his, kind of gave up a little bit on the swing and went to the opposite field. A good piece of hitting.
There's Clark. He popped up in the second inning going head-to-head with Brett Saberhagen. And on deck, Darryl Strawberry. Right. 0-1. Clark is the kind of a hitter, and you would think sluggers are streaky, but he hasn't gone more than 9 days without a home run this year.
Uses a very light bat, Ben. It's a Joe Morgan model, 34 inches, 32 ounces, and there's quite a story behind it that is really tied into his stance.
And you know, as great a year as he's having, he still has a bad thumb.
That bat is so light, and his stance, as you look at it, he stands to the plate. He doesn't stand to make a stance for the pitcher, and because the bat is so light, he has to hang in there. Now, that's why that front foot is up there. He said, I take my stance to the plate, not to the pitcher, and I have to hang in there or that light bat will pull me off the ball.
And that's a new stance this year.
Yes, sir.
0-2. Ball one, and there goes Mike Schmidt on a delay, and they get him with a tag by Harold Reynolds, and Schmidt can't believe it. And Vic Boccaccio, the second base umpire, right there, so he's hung out to dry, 2-4. No runs, one hit, nobody left, and at the end of 3.5 innings, as you take another look, no score.
Eddie, understanding your passion for Miller.
Bottom of the 4th inning, no score in the ball game, and Toronto's George Bell to start it off. He'll be followed by Dave Winfield and Cal Ripken. We have a new second baseman, Juan Samuel, at second base.
If you're wondering about the delayed steal, he did catch Kennedy a little bit off guard, but he certainly reacted in a hurry.
Bell fouls it off, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Bottom of the 4th. So the Phillies' Juan Samuel is now at second base for Ryne Sandberg, and he will hit in the number 2 slot.
Not going to belabor the point, but the first couple innings were not bad with the shadows. Now it's when it's tough. Halfway to the mound, shadow. Those poles going across there like he's pitching from behind bars. That's tough.
Check swing and a roller up on first, hits the bag, and Clark feels it, steps on it, and that rings up the bell. 1 away.
He's trying to duck it, and that's just an empty feeling. Usually it takes a crazy bounce. That time it took a nice bounce for Jack Clark, little room service job.
There's Dave Winfield. You think about it, the first player in 20 years to have 5 consecutive 100 RBI seasons. Then you look up in the history books and you find out that Joe DiMaggio had 7 and Babe Ruth had 13. 1 out, 4th inning, no score. So what we figured has actually happened. A twilight game in Oakland, you put an ad in the paper to get runs. We're scoreless.
You would think you'd be able to hit that outside corner all day long as deep in the batter's box as Winfield is, but he covers it with that stride of his.
0-1 to Dave. Dave really was in one great spotlight, the 1981 World Series, and he had just 1 hit in 21 at-bats. But there have been some great Yankees who struggled. Babe Ruth had a bad World Series. Yogi Berra had 3 bad ones, and Mickey Mantle had a bad one in '62. It can happen to the best. A chopper to Samuel, and that takes care of Winfield. So Juan Samuel making the play at second base, and Cal Ripken Jr. coming up.
You see that ball, how dark it got, and that's what the batter's up against as it goes from sunlight to darkness. Samuel makes a nice play throwing off balance. I always marvel at that when you're running away from the base you have to throw to and they throw those strikes.
So a good play, especially just coming in the game by Juan Samuel. And here's Cal Ripken. Might have had the only RBI today when he hit a line drive headed for right field with Winfield at second, and that's when Jack Clark went up the ladder and speared it and doubled up Winfield at second base.
Good as it just me, but all these hitters seem to be so deep in the batter's box and away.
If there's one thing I wish we could have been able to do, and I don't know how you can do it, it would be to show where each hitter is relating to all the other hitters, or are they just stepping in the same holes up there?
I would tend to doubt they step in the same holes because of the stride, much like pitchers. You try to find your own niche, but most of them are deep in that corner, and you really see that ball a little bit longer. You can see where Cal Ripken is, Winfield was back there.
1 ball and 1 strike. It does not appear to me that hitters change as much in the batter's box as they used to. You don't see hitters moving up against certain people, dropping back on others. It's a rare few, if ever.
Well, you got those free swingers, and a guy like Jack Clark, he's going to plant himself, and he's going to swing regardless of who's out there. Winfield pretty much the same way.
1 and 2 to Cal Ripken. Sidearm fastball. Now, if that doesn't give you the jelly leg, nothing will. Roy Campanella for years used to talk about the jelly leg. that front leg and how you can possibly stay in. And watch Sutcliffe. Maybe you'll get the jelly leg right there in your living room.
It's a little bit hard for Sutcliffe. He doesn't drop that far down and step that far over. It's kind of a new thing for him. But I tell you, when you go back to the days of a guy like Ewell Blackwell, that whole body would turn into jelly.
1-2 the count. You ever hit against Blackwell?
Yes, sir.
Scare you?
Well, I was on the left side, so I mean, I made nice polite outs.
1-2 the count. Rick Sutcliffe working on Cal Ripken and Terry Kennedy on deck. Sutcliffe at 6'7", a rather awesome figure standing in sunlight. And the hitter probably feels like he's looking up the side of a mountain right now in the shade. 2-2. Breaking ball meant. That's another thing they've been talking about. One of the big differences, home runs and pitchers not being as successful as they were. The fact that the mound is lowered from where it was, let's say, back in 1968 or so.
I think Austin is right. They've done so much, the only thing left is sandpaper.
3-2 the count. Line drive, base hit into left field. So Ripken is 1 for 2. Eric Davis with that center fielder's arm guns it into Ozzie Smith. And with 2 down, Terry Kennedy coming up.
The batter, catcher Terry Kennedy.
Kennedy very alertly throwing out Mike Schmidt on the delayed steal in the 4th inning. Terry's only the second catcher to start an All-Star game for both leagues. Ted Simmons did it for the Cardinals and the Brewers. You might remember Terry started in '85 when Gary Carter was hurt. Fouled away, 0-1. The National League dugout. Stars at rest. Well, there are a lot of hungry people in there who'd like to take a shot at it, and hopefully we'll see as many as possible representing each league. 0-1. Oh, big off-speed pitch. He started that swing sometime yesterday afternoon.
That's a little bit tough when you're hitting shadows to sunlight. You get a guy like Sutcliffe out there and he pulls the string. It's like he's got your front foot tied and he yanks your foot.
No balls and 2 strikes. 0-1. Oral Hershiser in the National League bullpen and Mark Langston throwing in the American League pen. We're in the 4th. Only had 2 hits on each side.
But that's a thrill for Vern Hochscheid, who's one of the coaches down there.
Thrill for all of them. 1-2. Ground ball hard to Ozzie. He'll go the short way to Juan Samuel. They get the force on Ripken, and that's it. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of 4 with a magnificent sunset. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Pictures from the Goodyear Blimp Columbia. From Los Angeles, California, the pilot is Captain Nick Nicolari from Stamford, Connecticut. It's the 51st year a Goodyear Blimp has appeared at an All-Star game, just sailing serenely above it all. And look what you can see from up there.
And Vin, that shadow of the pitcher is really a factor, too. That really says it all about the difficulty right about now. And this is what they were talking about. Halfway to the mound, the pitcher's shadow is there, the light standards, not ideal conditions.
Where's Jack Clark? If you look up, you see that Clark has 26 home runs and 86 RBIs. He should have 29. He hit a home run against the Dodgers, and it was rained out. And he hit 2 home runs that were turned into outs on miracle catches by Eric Davis. So he's even better than his numbers. He popped up in the 2nd inning. Boy, does he love that ball up in there.
You cannot shoot a fastball by him. I agree with those who say he has the best bat speed of anybody in the major leagues. He just doesn't get cheated.
0-1 to count to Jack. Off speed, slow freight, just outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jack Morris, one of the premier pitchers in the game, the pride of Detroit. Inheriting after Brett Saberhagen won a couple. Fastball in there. So he's given him the store, and the count 1-2. Another one. And that looked like a
finger job the way the bottom dropped out.
Well, with the 2 strikes, he can do that. He can really put that little extra on it and throw it out in the strike zone. There's the concentration. Jack Morris looking at that target. There's the rotation. It is a split finger. And he starts at about knee-high and drops down, and with 2 strikes, you certainly can't be that choosy, so big strikeout.
You know, they're such good hitters. With the light fading, you figured it was going to be tough in the first 4 or 5 innings, but I kind of thought we'd see a lot of strikeouts. Well, in the American League, we have not had a strikeout except for Terry Kennedy in the 2nd inning. And in the National League, they've had just 2 hitters strike out. I mean, they're just, well, the stars. 1 ball and no strike. Now, once I say this, about 9 in a row will go down on strikes, right? Since. One and one to Darrell. Roller by the mound, but in position is Harold Reynolds to get him. 2 down. Well, he used to wear number 44 with pride and distinction. He was one of the great home run hitters, left-handed. He had a back that could, well, you could set a table for 8 on that. Willie McCovey. What a play. Gary Carter at the plate grounded to short in the 2nd inning. Gary 0 for 1. Chased that pitch.
That was the split finger, and Gary's going to ask you about it. What was that? And I'm sure that Denkinger said, I don't know. You swung at it.
Don Denkinger working balls and strike. It's his 3rd All-Star game in 71 and 76 he was here. 0-1. Half swing, and that will cost him another. 0-2. So Jack Morris has given up a single to Mike Schmidt. Each side with 2 hits.
Chances are he'll do to Carter what he did to Clark as far as pitches.
1-2. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gary, who has hit 24 or more home runs each of his last 3 years, he's the number 1 active National League player with 10 grand slams. 2 balls, 2 strikes. In the dirt, 4-3.
That's the one he wanted right there, that split finger. Just threw it too hard. 2 strikes. Mike Scott was talking about over in Houston. We were there, Vin. He said, when I get 2 strikes, I start about the knee, and it's very tough for the hitter to lay off, and I can get that extra on it, but you can't do that until you get the 2 strikes.
It's interesting to watch Morris, and you kind of wish that Scott was still in the game so you could compare them.
Yeah, that'd be good.
3-2 the count to Gary Carter. And that's ball 4. So the National League receives its first walk, and it goes to Carter, and it'll bring up Ozzie Smith, a switch hitter batting left-handed who flied to left field in the 3rd inning, 0 for 1.
Smith is one of those guys who would give a fellow like Morris a little bit of trouble because he doesn't swing that hard. He just lays that bat on the ball and kind of moves it around. Punching Judy, a Judy hitter they call him.
His last home run was in the 85 LCS. Pitch getting away from Kennedy, but not far enough. 1 ball and no strikes to Ozzie Smith. The backup catcher, Matt Noakes, and of course you can't just use catchers, so they're being very careful, and Kennedy figures to go a long way. 1-0. Little foul, out of play. How do you pitch to Ozzie Smith? Well, here's what the scouts say.
Well, when NBC talked to some scouts, looks for fastball simply to make contact. That is so true. He just lays the bat on the ball, but ask Niedenfuhr. You can't take it for granted. He'll spin on you once a decade.
Ground ball to shortstop. Ripken feeding Reynolds, and they get the force on Carter, and that's that. So the Nationals go down, and at the end of 4 1/2, no score in the twilight.
For one thing, no real surprises. We figured at this time of day it was going to be brutal around home plate, and evidently it is.
It is. So far, it's been a silent movie as far as the hitting is concerned, but you expect it, and hey, don't take anything away from those pitchers. We've got some pretty good guys going out there.
And the lights will slowly but surely begin to help out around the plate as Bo Diaz puts on the mask and will pick up for Gary Carter. Willie McGee is in center field, and Oral Hershiser is the new pitcher. Andre Dawson, who had been in center field, moves to right field. So if you are keeping score, we will give it to you. Bo Diaz is going to bat in Strawberry's spot. 1-1. Oral Hershiser will bat in Gary Carter's spot, the number 7 spot. Slow roller to short. Ozzie Smith to Jack Clark. And Willie McGee will bat 9th. And look at the arms on Oral Hershiser. He is Oral Hershiser the 4th, so when you see him playing hockey with that V, his son is Oral Hershiser the 5th. He didn't know it at those days, but it's come to pass. Well, look at here. Kirby Puckett coming up to bat with Willie Randolph on deck.
Very personable young man, Kirby. I was sitting with him and I said to him, what's the most often asked question? He said, every day somebody says, how could a little man hit the ball so hard? Well, you put the bat on a ball, you're going to hit it hard, he says.
He's really a surprising power hitter.
He is.
And the numbers tell you why. You know, in 1984, he had over 500 at-bats and did not hit a home run. And then, of course, in 1986, he had a 30 home run season. He got strong in a hurry. In 1985, the year the All-Star game was in Minnesota, Puckett didn't get close to that game. He hit 4 home runs. But that might be the last one he's going to miss for a while. He had 31 home runs last year. 2-1. Oral Hershiser becomes the 3rd National League pitcher. We've seen Scott, Sutcliffe, and now Hershiser. And on deck, tuning up, Ricky Henderson. Hershiser coming into this game representing the Dodger pitching staff, and he has been their strongest pitcher. And he is asked now with 1 out to get Puckett and then Henderson. Ground ball to the right side. Fielded there by Samuel. So Puckett rolls out. 2 down in the 5th, and Ricky Henderson coming up. And looking back through the books, you find that the National League has had 1 man get to second base. That was Andre Dawson, who doubled in the 1st inning. The American League has had 2 men get to second base. Winfield was doubled off on the line drive to Clark, hit by Ripken. And then, of course, Alan Trammell got to second base in the 3rd inning. Right.
Do you realize if this game continues like this, it's going to destroy the live ball theory?
Right. 0-1. Well, let's face it. You know, in the history books, the very first run batted in an All-Star game, the run was knocked in by a pitcher, Lefty Gomez. Ah, yes. Got to clear those bulbs. Check swing. 1-1. Now 2-1. Henderson is grounded out, fly to center. Davy Johnson talking to Hal Lanier. And in the middle, Roger Craig. 2-1. The count to Ricky Henderson. Ball 3. Interesting connections. For instance, you look at Davy Johnson. Johnson was on the Baltimore team that played the New York Mets in 1969. He made the last out in the World Series. And in the opposite side, John McNamara was the manager of the Oakland-A's in 1969. Of course, John McNamara brings a great deal of local flavor here. John's from Sacramento. And we're all wondering where Mike is. His son Mike, a 1st lieutenant in the Marine Corps on the U.S. Ranger. great kid. And of course, Jan is uptight as to just where Mike is. 3-2. Big chopper over the mound. Samuel behind the bag. Big bounce out of his glove. And Henderson is aboard.
It was going to be a close play because once he gets over Hershiser's head, it's going to be a tough play for Samuel. And he knows that he's got a tough play, but when he doesn't come up with it, forget about it.
We'll see how they rule it. For Samuel, he has committed the most errors of any member of the National League team. So I'm sure his marching and chowder society in Philadelphia is hoping that it will be a hit, and it is a hit.
And in a nothing ball game, he may be running now. He's on his own. They've pretty much turned his ball club loose because of the great talent that they have. So, but you would have to watch for Henderson to maybe take off.
He has 25 stolen bases this year. That's a far cry from his days here in Oakland when he just dismantled the league. Remember, he stole a major league record 130 back in 1982.
Diaz wants all the help he can get. He's motioning over there to throw over there, and he's looking at the bench to get some help from Roger Craig or whomever. He's looking for Henderson to run.
Mattingly at the plate, board on an error and walk. Show you what kind of a year Henderson had the year he set the record. By the All-Star game, he had 84 stolen bases that year. You can imagine such a thing. 1 ball and no strike. No score, bottom of the 5th. Twilight game making it so difficult for even the best hitters in the world to do anything against the best pitchers in the world. 1-0.
Getting a sign, Diaz is from Craig. I have to bet on that to throw over there. That second time he made it very close because it was a better move. You can see Diaz constantly looking over. You saw in motion.
You see who's in the first base coaching box now. When the game started, Jim Fregosi and Tony La Russa were the coaches, but there he is, Catfish Hunter, coaching at first and in a very important time.
Got a pitch out going, I'll bet you.
They pitch out and he's not going. Why'd you say that?
You just can feel it.
Feel it, huh? Well, I'll be.
Feel it.
Feeling. 2 balls and no strikes. You're not reading signs, are you?
I've been watching the North hearings. I want to talk to him last turn.
2 balls and no strikes to Don Mattingly. No score in the 5th. All eyes on Ricky Henderson. Juan Samuel on the edge of the infield, way off to his right. So the right side of the infield is kind of open with Clark on the bag. 3-0 the count, and Mattingly is taking a long look to see if they'll give him the green light.
You can bet he'll get the giant-sized green light if he likes it.
And he took a look at ball 4. So Hershiser gives up an infield single, now a walk with 2 out. And he has the distinct pleasure of pitching to Wade Boggs after walking Mattingly. Now the infield is pretty much in shade. The sunshine, as you can see, between first and second, and then from left center all the way around to the right field foul pole. So in a sense, the hitters now see better. The contrast is not quite so much. Boggs hit into a force play, fly to center. Look at those numbers. Constant improvement. Strike. 0-1.
He's one of those hitters when you get a strike on him, it means absolutely nothing. He's just measuring you what he does. The middle of the diamond to the left field line. That belongs to Wade Boggs.
0-1. Henderson and Mattingly on the lines. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. The top career hitters since 1900. You start with Ty Cobb. Then you talk about the Raja, Rogers Hornsby. Then Shoeless Joe Jackson. And the number 4 man is this man, Wade Boggs. Ground ball to third. Mike Schmidt up with it at the belt buckle to get the force play. And he was not too steady on that. That ball took erratic hops, so it was a tougher play than it looked. And at the end of 5, no score.
GM TV 40, Wildwood, Atlantic City.
We'll get how they're hitting in a moment. Mark McGuire is now at first base for Don Mattingly. Tony Fernandez is at shortstop for Cal Ripken. Kevin Seitzer is at third base for Wade Boggs. Kirby Puckett is in center field. And Mark Langston on the mound. Saberhagen, Morris, and now Langston. Yes, it is indeed Mark McGuire country. We have to find out just where he belongs in the lineup. But come to think of it, if you ask him where does a guy like that 6'5" hit, anywhere he likes.
Anywhere the big dog wants to leave.
Betcha.
Langston is a power pitcher. Fastball, straight change, best pitch is fastball. Listen to the crowd.
Yeah, they love it. Willie McGee, followed by Eric Davis and then Juan Samuel. And Mark Langston on the hill. You know, a lot of people thought, and maybe you do right now, if I said, who do you think led the American League in strikeouts last year? You might say Roger Clemens. And the answer would be wrong. It was Mark Langston. I mean, he can move it. He had 245 strikeouts last year. And he's right at the top now as Willie McGee tested.
That's what Willie will do. He'll chase that bad ball, and Langston probably will try to make him chase another one and keep it right there. He's quickly in front with 2 strikes.
0-2. Breaking ball wrinkled outside. Ball 1, 1-2.
You can see on that pitch, Vin Kennedy boxing it up a little bit. It's pretty tough to catch a pitcher with the ability that these fellas have that you've never caught before.
I guess so. Fouled away. Mark Langston was the only Mariner named to the original All-Star team, and then Harold Reynolds was added when Lou Whitaker had a back flare-up on him. And you know the rules say every team must have an All-Star rep. But Langston is on the team for more reasons than that. He is a dandy. 1-2. Breaking ball hit foul into the seats. Pretty good defensive swing by McGee to just try and cover the plate. Mark Langston.
It's one of those ripcord emergency swings. Just keep me alive. Maybe I'll get a better swing next time.
McGee starting off matters in the 6th inning. No score. No runs, 3 hits for the American League. No runs, 2 hits for the National League. Fouled away. Eric Davis on deck. One of the great defensive players in the National League besides his offensive abilities. Willie McGee, a San Francisco native. His father is a deacon in the Pentecostal church. 1-2. Ball 2. And before each season, you might remember you heard about it during the World Series, Willie's father anoints Willie's hands and feet to prevent injuries. Quite a young man. 2-2. And he thumbs one to the right side. Reynolds waits for the hop to get him. 1 down. We told you about Eric Davis fielding, so we asked Eric, you've made a lot of great catches. What are your best? Well, he reeled off a couple. This one against Darryl Strawberry at Shea Stadium in New York. Up the ladder. Home run gone. He caught it up there at Riverfront. And again at Riverfront. 2 against Jack Clark. 1 against Jim Morrison of Pittsburgh. And 1 by Darryl Strawberry. That's this man, Eric Davis. An 8th round draft pick. So there were a lot of people who didn't think he was going to make it. And I think everybody agrees with Pete Rose. Don Sutton, the pitcher of the Angels, had a good line about it. He said the pitchers are going to have to throw the eyewash ball to get the red out. I paused so we would not have a commercial. I was trying to think. Eyewash.
Fake me out a little bit there.
I know I did. 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Eric Davis.
Get the red out. That goes right next to Days of Wine and Rojas.
In there. See you later. I was going to say got him looking, but I don't know how much Or maybe it's just you can't see too well. Take another look at it.
He's a power pitcher, throws the curveball, and there's not much you can do. Denkinger very sure of that. But look at him pull that chain.
How about him?
So Mark Langston puts his signature to the game. He does what he does all the time, a strikeout. Once again, we remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ballgame. Juan Samuel. Right. Samuel strikes out a lot, so this is a strikeout situation. Strikeout pitcher and a hitter who pays the bill, but instead he fists one on the right side to Reynolds, and that's it for Samuel and for the National League in the 6th inning. So Langston sets him down, and at the end of 5 1/2, the National League nothing, the American League nothing. Bottom of the 6th inning, no score in the ballgame. George Bell, Dave Winfield, and Tony Fernandez, and let's get things straight. Tim Raines is in the leadoff spot in left field. Davis is out. Tim Wallach is now at third base for Mike Schmidt, hitting in the number 4 spot. Right. Balloon on the grass in shallow right field.
Time is just called.
Strike 2. It's a very lively balloon. A dead ball and a lively balloon. Let's see the card to give you an idea of the bookkeeping that we have to do. In the National League, Raines, Samuel, Dawson, Wallach, Clark, Diaz, Hershiser, then Smith and McGee. And I'll give you the American League. The count is 0-1. The balloon strike will not be allowed. 0-1. Breaking ball. Here's the American League. McGuire in the leadoff spot. Kevin Seitzer. Then the pitcher Mark Langston hitting third. Then Bell, Winfield, Fernandez, Kennedy, Reynolds, and Puckett. Breaking ball chopped to third. Wallach right at the bag. That takes care of Bell. One away. Paid attendance over 49,000. Big crowd. It is the largest crowd ever.
How about him? Right fielder,
there you go. And of course, we're talking baseball. Dave Winfield doubled into the left field corner, but was doubled off. The closest to a run was with Winfield at second. Cal Ripken hit a bullet headed for right field, and Jack Clark speared it, flipped to Ozzie Smith for a double play. In the National League bullpen, Rick Russell begins to loosen up. Breaking ball strike, 0-1. There's Rick. He would be the oldest nationally. He's 38. Winfield is coming up 36. The youngest, Saberhagen, 23. Sid Fernandez in the National League, 25. Line to right, Dawson handling it. Tough play, and of course, the right fielder now is bedazzled by the sunset.
He really had himself a tough play. Gets a late start, but you can almost see that sigh of relief when he catches it. And once he's got it, look at him hold that glove close. That's a tough field right now.
He can play anywhere, and of course, Wrigley Field is perhaps his favorite as far as the offense is concerned, but remarkable, as are all of them. And Tony Fernandez coming up. Shortstop, who played in 163 games last year. He had 213 hits last year. That made him the #1 hitting shortstop. Foul ball, 0-1. Last year he was in the All-Star game. I guess you could say he was in the All-Star game. He didn't bat. He didn't have any chances in the field, but he was here.
If you're in a team picture, you're at the All-Star game.
Right. I believe it. Meanwhile, Davy Johnson is checking to see just who's available. There's a high fly ball to center. Willie McGee right there. So a quiet 6th inning for Hershiser. The American League down 1-2-3 at the end of 6. No score. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. The 1987 All-Star Game is brought to you by Aetna and its insurance agents and brokers across America. Work with the best in the business, Aetna. By your Toyota dealer in the new easy-to-own Tercel EZ. Who could ask for anything more? Toyota. And by Miller Lite. For great taste, there's only one light beer. Andre Dawson will lead it off. And Dwight Evans is now in right field. Dave Winfield has moved over to left. And Matt Noakes is behind the plate. Ground ball hard and short, but Tony Fernandez, very graceful to handle that. One away. If you are keeping score, Noakes is in Bell's spot. That's number 4. Evans is in Kennedy's spot, number 7. Here's Tim Wallach. Local boy Mark Langston. He's from Santa Clara, which is just around the corner from Oakland. He went to San Jose State, so he's at home here. Wallach, of course, from Orange County, went to Cal State Fullerton, Southern California boy. Fouled away. 1-1.
Wallach hit an inside the park home run, and he was describing it to Terry Kennedy. I'd never heard this expression. He said when he rounded third and saw the coach waving him in, he said, I figured I had an easy one. I saw Diaz set up. I did my fadeaway butter slide. Just melted.
Oh, you talk about melting. Wallach way out in front on that breaking ball. 1-2. What a pitch by Mark Langston. You get an idea in watching him why he strikes out so many people. 7th inning, no score. Roller foul. Just for your information, those National Leaguers not in the game yet. Keith Hernandez, Ozzie Virgil, Hubie Brooks, Pedro Guerrero, Jeff Leonard, Dale Murphy. Plenty of pitchers. We'll give you the American League availables. Got him. So down goes Wallach. Right now, let's go to Marv Albert.
All right, Ben, this is Kansas City General Manager John Sherholz. John, what is your reaction to the news today that Bo Jackson has come to agreement with the LA Raiders, so he'll play both baseball and football? Is there a fear that he'll get injured?
Well, certainly we were disappointed to hear that news, but our concern, of course, is keeping him active in baseball. There is that fear of injury, but hopefully Bo will play football for a short time and decide to return to baseball full time.
Why do the Royals permit this? Was there a fear of losing him if he did not play both baseball and football?
That was, in fact, our fear. If we had decided not to give him permission to do this, we were looking at the possibility of his walking away from baseball. We didn't know that, so we still feel like once he exposes himself to football and measures that against baseball, baseball will be his choice.
Any other Royals with interesting hobbies?
I certainly hope not.
Okay, John Sherholz, Royals General Manager, back to Vin and Joe.
All right, gentlemen, with 2 out in the 7th inning, Jack Clark, the batter, 2 balls and no strikes. No score, 7th inning, the longest scoring drought in All-Star history. In 1968, the only 1-0 All-Star game was played. And Willie Mays scored as Willie McCovey was hitting into a double play, but that run came in the 1st inning. So we're in the 7th inning and nothing but smoke rings up on the scoreboard. Talking about the availabilities, Harold Baines, Pat Tabler, and Larry Parrish, the remaining American leaguers, excluding pitchers, to get in the game. Boy, Clark was trying to get on the board with that swing.
Before the game, the talk was, well, with all this talent, you won't have to manufacture runs. Wrong. They're going to have to start thinking about bunting and hitting and running and that kind if they're going to make a run.
Full count to Jack Clark. Bo Diaz on deck. And that's hit down the right field line, slicing foul and out of play. 49,000 here today, the largest crowd to see a game. They tell you that the attendance for baseball is 48,219, so I assume about 1,000 standing room only, and there is sitting room only for Mark Langston. He comes up with his 3rd strikeout. Here's another edition of 7th inning stretch.
Gatorade Thirst Quencher presents the 7th inning stretch. Gatorade is thirst aid for that deep down body thirst. Brooklyn Dodger immortal was a Rookie of the Year, a National League MVP, and a career .311 hitter who's enshrined in baseball's Hall of Fame. Can you name him?
Bottom of the 7th inning, no score, and a couple of notes of irony. You know, the power surge, right, and the rabbit in the ball. Well, last year, no team hit 200. This year, 10 teams are on a 200 home run pace. Some of the individual players, the projections would show you Mark McGwire would catch Roger Maris. And yet, in their great showcase moment, 0-0 in the 7th. And a lot of changes. Rick Russell is on the mound. He will be the 4th National League pitcher. Keith Hernandez is at first. Hubie Brooks is at shortstop. And Dale Murphy is in right field. Line to left field, and that'll be a base hit. Tim Raines over to fielder. So Dwight Evans hits the first pitch into left field for a single. Rick Russell, the oldest member of the National League and therefore the oldest member in the game at 38 years old. Of course, the oldest player to ever play in an All-Star game was Satchel Paige. Bless his heart, he was 47 years, 7 days old. 1 ball and no strike to Harold Reynolds. They're going to check. No swing, no bunt, says Joe West. Looking to see if that bunt is on. Interesting for Russell. He's had trouble in the first inning in his career, especially last year. And, of course, technically, this is his first inning. The bunt hits something and goes fair. And they get him out. Hernandez was going to just play it as a foul ball, and it hit a stone.
And I'll tell you, that was not an easy play because the runner went to the infield side, and Samuel wisely, we're almost close to foul territory. Watch this now. Now, it takes Hernandez is going to let it bounce. He thinks he's going to go foul. Now, watch what happens here where Samuel makes a good play by going in foul territory. That's why they're all-stars. They can adjust the situation. If he stays where they normally do, the ball hits the runner.
See where he was running?
I really wasn't. I mean, outside the 3-foot line?
Yeah, way inside. Strike to Kirby Puckett. He was on the grass, I believe, on 2 or 3 strides.
Imagine trying to avoid that fielder is the thing.
So you have Evans at second base, 1 out in the 7th inning, no score, and Kirby Puckett is up there. 1 ball and 1 strike.
The blueprint was to let him go as we look at the man of the hour, McGwire. The blueprint was to let him play, but in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning is to start playing baseball, bunting, and whatever.
But Kirby Puckett, after the bunt, with a chance to pick up the only run of the game. No score. Bottom of the 7th inning. At second base, Dwight Evans. Dan Plesac beginning to loosen up in the American League bullpen. Half swing, it's going to cost him a strike. That's the pitch that has kept Russell in the big leagues. Boy, is he tough on right-handers.
Got a good sinker, and when he side wheels you like he just did Puckett, it's a little tough to hit him.
Big numbers for Puckett on the rise. 1 and 2. Kirby Puckett, as you look at him, you might wonder about it. Just how tall is he and what does he weigh? He is listed at 5'8", 205 pounds. The pitch. Boy, Russell has eaten up an awful lot of right-hand power. And now look out. Here comes the big red, Mark McGwire. Line drive foul. The hero was almost a real hero on that one swing.
He really has good mechanics of hitting. When you look at his stance, he turns that toe in to remind himself to keep that front shoulder in. Both eyes looking at that pitcher in a short, compact swing.
0-1 the count to Mark McGwire. And he lifts
It's a fly ball to deep right field. Racing over is Dale Murphy in the corner to make the catch. Tough play, just coming in, fighting the sun, an unfamiliar ballpark, and Murph makes the play, and McGuire comes up a buck short. And at the end of 7, no score. Mark McGuire's father is a dentist. Pitchers look at him like a root canal, and here's why.
He's got that short, compact swing, and he just goes with that pitch. Murphy makes a good play. Getting back to McGuire, LaRusse's manager compares his swing to that of Bull Lozinski, compact with good power, and he can go the opposite field, as he showed right there. It looked like that was going to be a great story.
Oh, and how. Well, Dan Plesac now comes in out of the pen. Right now, he has the best earned run average in the American League, and Bo Diaz at the plate. Plesac 4-2, and look at that ERA. Pitching to Bo Diaz, who was a Little League player in Venezuela and never made the Little League World Series, but for good reason. His team couldn't leave because an earthquake leveled the little town in Venezuela. So he lost a chance to play in the Little League World Series, but he made it to the All-Star game. 0-2.
Funny how you notice different habits of hitters. Watch Diaz. When he gets in the box, he kind of sets himself there, and then at the last minute, he'll back with his front foot and get on the toes. Now, just watch him.
No balls, 2 strikes. There he goes. Fastball hit in the air to right field. Evans is there fighting the sun. They're really tough. Yeah, we can understand, Dwight. 1 down.
It's the only place where the sun is really giving the outfielders trouble, and Evans really battling it. And I must say, Vin, I got to add to the dying of a legend or a myth, the dying of the live ball. How about the slow game? This game is really moving along.
Yeah, we're really flying. Here's Dale Murphy. Had to make that tough play on the ball hit by McGuire. Checking now as we get into the 8th inning as to those players still available other than pitchers. Right. You have Ozzie Virgil, Pedro Guerrero, and Jeff Leonard. In the American League, Harold Baines, Pat Tabler, and Larry Parrott. Well, most of them are getting in, but there are still a few on the outside looking in. High fly ball down the left field line, hooking foul. Kevin Sicer backed up by Tony Fernandez, and it's Tony Fernandez making the play. What makes it such a tough play, anytime you leave fair ground going to foul, and you know you're going in the neighborhood of the bullpen, but he was on the grass.
He runs Sicer off to play, and he's just so graceful in everything he does. He wasn't sure of that, but once that ball hit, those sure hands just clamped it.
So Murphy is taken care of, and Hubie Brooks, the pride of Montreal, coming up. Boy, he's come a long way. Kid from down south in Los Angeles. Not too long ago, I remember, when he was a rookie third baseman for the New York Mets, and he tied a National League record. He made 3 errors in an inning. And here he is in the All-Star game.
He's had
multi-talent.
He's had his share of tough luck, too, with injuries.
Oh, yeah, bad hand. 0-1 to Hubie. Back. No runs, 4 hits for the American League. No runs, 2 hits for the National League. Brooks really wears out left-handers. And he's looking at one right now, but an all-star left-hander. Hubie's hitting over 420 against left-hand pitching. 0-2. John McNamara studying, figuring out just how many cards are left in the deck, how many can I play. Look at all the discards. Boy, looks like Jim Fregosi and Pat Corrales trying to help him keep track of it.
Like a wet crossword puzzle.
1-2 to Hubie Brooks. Fastball away, and he wasn't looking for it, and he's blown away.
And Dan Plesac sets him down, and at the end of 7.5 in the gloaming, no score. Baseball starts again after the All-Star break. There might be a ball game coming up in your neighborhood. That's the schedule, so take a look as we turn the corner and start in the second half. There are all kinds of ways to watch the game, and there are folks in the scoreboard, one of the few manually operated scoreboards around here at the Oakland Coliseum. Ozzie Virgil will take over behind the plate. Carter, Diaz, and Virgil. That means Guerrero and Leonard are the only two players left on the National League bench. Leading off is Kevin Seitzer. There's the American League, and Harold Baines is out on deck. So he's going to be coming in a moment. So Kevin Seitzer hitting in the number 2 slot. Baines will be hitting for the pitcher, Plesac. Are you keeping score in pen? Good for you. In there. Jeffrey Leonard, one of the remaining 2, is playing catch down in the National League bullpen. That's hit foul back into the crowd. John Franco of the Reds is down there. Meanwhile, in the American League pen, Dave Righetti is loosening up. That youngster in front is playing catch with Jeff Leonard. There's Righetti. Fisted in the air, and Juan Samuel is there to handle it. 1 down. Well, we're up here in the beautiful Bay Area. It's a reminder, next Saturday, 2 teams have already eclipsed the homer barrier. The Giants and the Cubs will be on the game of the week. Others will see the Orioles and the Royals. It'll all start at 3 Eastern time. Marv Alberton is inside looking to baseball. Yep, the tradition is here. The memories are waiting on NBC Sports. Davy Johnson is not waiting for memories. He's trying to make his own right now, and he's going to wheel and deal. He's going to make a 2-for-1 switch. Jeff Leonard is going to go into right field, and John Franco is coming into pitch, and we'll be back. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Jeffrey Leonard, the Hackman, out there in right field of the San Francisco Giants. Leonard, by the way, will be in the number 3 position, so he'd be due to bat 4th in the 9th inning. And John Franco, the left-hander who was asked to come in and get Harold Baines, will go in the number 7 position. Baines batting for Plesac. So there is 1 man left in the National League dugout, Pedro Guerrero, the 1 man who has not gotten into the game. You have Tabler and Parrish, the only 2 in the American League. That's excluding pitchers. Harold Baines.
I guess the managers would be our most valuable players because they showed the fans almost every player.
Well, I know one thing. Davy Johnson has a math degree from Trinity University in San Antonio. He needs a computer. And here's Baines. Davy needs more than a computer, so he has Roger Craig and Mel Stottlemyre, among others. Baines pops it up. Samuel looking, calling, and makes the play. 2 down in the 8th inning. And Matt Noakes, a left-hand batter, will be coming up. John Franco. Boy, what a boost he has given the Cincinnati Reds. John Franco worked 1 inning on Friday, so he is certainly rested. As he faces Matt Noakes, interesting thought, Franco didn't allow a run until the 40th game of the season. And it came on Bob Dunier's wind-blown home run at Wrigley Field. Fastball hit right down on Noakes' foot. The timeout, 0-1. It's been Saberhagen, Morris, Langston, and Plesac, and we're going to see Righetti, Scott, Sutcliffe, Hershiser, Russell, and Franco. Matt Noakes, the young catcher with Detroit, facing John Franco. No balls, 1 strike. No
score. Bottom of the 8th. Noakes was originally in the National League. He was with the San Francisco Giants. In fact, he hit his first home run with the Giants in '85, and it was against Mike Scott. Ball 2, 2-1.
It's the first time I've seen him, man. In the 3 pitches, he hasn't given an inch against Franco. He has hung right in there.
Before this year, Noakes had only played 26 Major League games. He's really just starting out. 2-2.
He opens him up pretty good, boy. He put some seal beams out there.
Just think, Sparky Anderson had 2 catchers, Johnny Bench and Lance Parrish. Now he's breaking in Matt Noakes. Fly ball to Tim Raines. So they're still groping their way through 8, and Pedro Guerrero is still waiting for a call. And at the end of 8, as we look at the odd man out, no score. We're going to the 9th inning here at the Oakland Coliseum. No score. And Dave Righetti will come in. The lights are on. And as we look at our Goodyear blimp, gives a chance to pause and reflect on where we are this year and where those teams who were atop the heap last year are now. Look at the fall off. The Mets, a swing of 22.5 games. The Astros, they dropped by 4. The Red Sox, a 20.5 game swing. And the Angels, 4.5. And of course they roll up their sleeves and go to work right after the Stars. Jeffrey Leonard pacing around in the National League dugout. He will be batting 4th in the inning against left-hander Dave Righetti. Dave Righetti on the mound. Righetti is a native of San Jose. He went to San Jose City College. Might remember he threw a no-hitter on July 4th against the Red Sox back in 1983. He worked briefly 2/3 of an inning in last year's All-Star game. You might not realize it. He's been around a while. As a rookie, he started Game 3 at the '81 World Series against another rookie, Fernando Valenzuela. Righetti didn't have a decision. '83 was the no-hitter, and '86 an all-time big league record for saves. Well, he puts all that on the line against Willie McGee, Tim Raines, and Juan Samuel. Kevin Seitzer right at the bag at 3rd. And you think McGee is thinking bunt, and even McGuire now shortens up at 1st. Outfield fanned out, bucket deep in center. Ground ball to the right side. Harold Reynolds takes care of McGee, 1 away. The National League has had 1 man get on back in the 5th inning on a walk. And Mike Schmidt got a base hit in the 4th inning and was thrown out.
Been with not a whole lot going on. I'm going to throw this out to you.
Yeah.
The baseballs in the National League signed by A. Bartley Giamatti.
Right.
American League, Dr. Bobby Brown. Right?
Right.
All-Star Game signed by Peter Uberoff. So the lively ball debate continues. Is it the signature that causes it?
That's right. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Got it.
Count the letters.
Tim Raines.
Boy, are we reaching.
Raines hitting .346. During the regular year, he takes a hook for ball 1. It's your fault. It's your fault.
It's mine. Shorten your name, Peter. It won't be as mine.
Who was that masked stranger? 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, we saw Baines and now Raines. And after Raines comes Juan Samuel.
Wonder how far the ball will go if Ron Say signed it.
How about Don Ho? Tim Raines getting a new bat. He's been picked for the All-Star game each of his 7 years in the major leagues. And without spring training. Nice thought. This game is being seen around the world on Armed Forces television by over 1.3 million service personnel and their dependents. We send along a God bless to you wherever you may be. The switch hitter hitting right-handed against Righetti. Raines hitting almost 400 from this side of the plate against Dave. No way he could do anything but just take it. And remember, Range was the National League batting leader last year when he hit .334. Seisenau is on the line, deep back of the bag. 1 out. Ball 3. Tim was a free agent and missed the first 3 weeks of the season this spring, then signed with his original club, Montreal, and had an explosive debut against the New York Mets. Foul ball down the right field line, out of play. And of course, if Raines gets on, you have the same kind of feeling when Ricky Henderson gets on, because Raines, remember, in 1984 stole 75 bases. So he's a terror. 3-2 to Tim. Fastball hammered to center, base hit. The first National League hit since the 4th inning. The last American League hit was in the 7th. So in the 9th, the National League gets a premier base runner aboard, and Juan Samuel and Jeff Leonard back-to-back coming up.
Davey Johnson talked about having a squad that you don't have to manufacture runs, but I think that's all out the window. They're going to try to manufacture that run because they've certainly got the ingredients with Samuel in that batter's box and Raines on at first base.
The only problem, as we said, if they're thinking of putting a play on, is the fact Raines knows that that's not really a contact hitter at the plate in Samuel. Ball 1.
It'll be a straight steal for Raines if they decide to go and just let Samuel do what he has to do. Noakes try to get some help.
With the veteran at first, this is Juan Samuel's first All-Star appearance. That's going to be the problem. If he's going to go, he's got to go on his own. There can't be any hit and run play. He's not that kind of hitter.
And he's not getting that big a jump. Obviously, he has not tried to steal against Rigetti that much, and he just didn't get any kind of a jump in the first 2 pitches.
In the last 3 years, Samuel has struck out over 450 times. He's tied Steve Balboni. He's that kind of a hitter. Strike 1 and 2. So he limits what you can do with him. But what a talent.
Noakes keeps reminding Rigetti, give him a look, give him a look. Don't take for granted he's not going to go. Throw over there once in a while.
That's big Mark McGuire holding the corner. And there he goes. He got him picked off. McGuire throws in the dirt into left field, and Raines is on his way to third. Mark McGuire, who almost hit a 2-run home run, now makes that throw into left field, and Raines, the possible only run of the game, is 90 feet away.
He had him picked off just as slick as he can, and Raines knew it. He was in no man's country, so he was just going to try to make it to second, gets the bonus. When the throw goes into center field, now McNamara's come out.
1 ball and 2 strikes to count, and all Raines had to do was jog as Dave Winfield came in. And they're going to make a switch as Dave Rigetti comes out. Well, we'll be right back.
Hello! A 1 ball, 2 strike count. Rigetti threw to McGuire. McGuire saw a bad throw into the outfield, and Raines easily over to third.
And that's not something to just slough off. That's the first base runner to get to third in the game. So he is 90 feet away. The American League infield is up. Remember the count on Samuel 1 and 2, and Henke, who can be so tough, particularly on right-hand batters. That's why they've called him in. Almost threw that one away. 2 and 2. Henke gave up his first run this year, 1 day before Cincinnati's John Franco gave up his first run. Right-hand hitters are hitting 200 against him in his career. Left-handers close to 250. Another right-hand batter, Jeff Leonard, and the only other player available is a right-hand batter, Pedro Guerrero.
Henke doesn't have any trick pitches. Fastball, changeup, compact delivery, helped by Al Widmar, and he is pumped.
Boy, he really came from nowhere last year. Fastball lifted into shallow right field. Dwight Evans poised, Raines for the tag. There's the
catch. Here comes the throw, and it's a perfect throw, and Raines goes back. Oh, what a throw by Dwight Evans.
Well, if you've seen that fella play, he does that in infield practice. He does it all the time. It's nothing unusual for him to make the right play. Raines watching it, the ball not hit deep. Evans really sets himself well.
Right on the money.
The catcher, you love it.
Beautiful. Take another look at it. I mean, that's an all-star throw.
And that comes from a lot of work. He takes nothing for granted.
Well, let's look in the history book again. You have Raines at third, 2 out in the 9th, a right-hand hitter at the plate. There has been 1 steal of home in the history of the All-Star game. High foul behind the plate. Noakes coming back to the base of the screen. It is caught. Matt Noakes refused to quit on it, and I think the ball actually came back a little to him. So we will not see a steal of home. We're not going to see a run in the 9th inning. No scores. Great play by Matt Noakes.
He just didn't give up on it. Now he finds the ball here. Now he's got it. Now he doesn't know how much room he's got, but you see him take a look at that wall, and he stays right with it, and the youngster just didn't quit on it, and what a big play that was. And Leonard really reacts to it. Oh, what a painful one for him. Good play by Noakes.
And how? So Dave Winfield, who was the only man to go the distance in the American League, and the only man to go the distance in the game, is coming up against Steve Bedrosian. Bedrosian, who set a record this year, 13 straight saves, the pride of the Phils. No score in the 9th. Winfield will be followed by Tony Fernandez and then Dwight Evans. We're getting to that stage now where you can also talk about what pitchers are left. Sid Fernandez, the left-hander, Lee Smith, the right-hander for the National League, Bruce Hurst, the left-hander, Mike Wood and Jay Howell for the American League. Ball 2-0.
Winfield takes a look down at LaRussa at third base, but no need to look. He's got the green light.
There's one reason why Bedrosian is a relief pitcher. He held a record for most times removed in a season as a starting pitcher. And he's behind 3-0. He had started 37 games in Atlanta, failed to complete any, traded to Philadelphia, moved to the bullpen, and he's just been dynamite. He has 24 saves already this year. 3-0. In there. 3-0. They call him Bedrock, and I don't know, it's probably late in the year, but during the normal part of the season, he would be wearing a Boston Celtics t-shirt underneath that uniform. 3-1 to Winfield. And he walked him. So Dave Winfield is at first. Nobody out. Fernandez, Evans, and Reynolds trying to move him around. And Jim Fregosi back in the coaching box talking to Winfield.
Hernandez is going to try to set up some kind of a defense as Fernandez comes in the batter's box. Hernandez is out on the mound. And what he usually does with his pitchers is tell them, hey, I'm going to come in maybe the first pitch, but the second pitch I'll come in and go back and maybe try a pickoff.
If Tony hits at the Keith, it'll sound like a Latin dance team. Here's Tony, and look at those numbers. Young man on the rise. Bottom of the 9th, no score. They're looking bunt, and it's ball 1. There is no action in the National League bullpen. 1 ball and no strikes.
He's not sure at all because you can do something with Fernandez, and LaRussa's going to talk to him, and he's just going to flat out tell him we're in the bottom of the 9th inning. No sense of missing the sign here.
No runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the American League. No runs, 3 hits, and 2 errors for the National League. 12 pitchers in the game, 6 on each side. 1-0. And did he try to bunt? He did. And foul tipped it. And the count 1 ball, 1 strike.
WMGM TV 40, Wildwood, Atlantic City.
Winfield held on by Hernandez, who's coming to the plate, and it's ball 2. So Hernandez was coming. Samuel had committed himself to cover first. 2-1 to Tony.
They're really choking tight. Wallach coming in at third. It'd be a tough job to get Winfield to second base once he gets the big jump.
According to the speed gun, that last pitch was 96 miles an hour. There's the bunt. Bedrosian is going to go to first to Samuel. When in doubt, throw to a teammate. So the possible winning run at second base with 1 out, and Dwight Evans, who saved a run with that fine throw on the ball hit by Juan Samuel, is coming up. And Fernandez did his job.
Right fielder, the
Not
White
much
Evans.
that Craig and Johnson can do, but watch and hope that Bedrosian can get some people out. The entire field in shade, but the lights really haven't taken that much effect yet. It is 8 p.m. local time. Evans singled in the 7th inning. Hit the first pitch for a base hit. Hitting in the number 7 slot, Harold Reynolds is on deck. Right. 1 out. 9th inning, no score. And there's the man in scoring position. Ball 1. 1-1. Going down the American bullpen. Ball 2, 10-1. There's Jay. Ball 3, 3-1. Harold Reynolds on deck. Dwight Evans, so he walks him, and now Bedrosian is in trouble. 2 walks with 1 out. Reynolds coming up, and he would be followed by Kirby Puckett.
Second baseman, Harold Reynolds.
He's throwing hard, but it doesn't do you any good if you don't get it in the strike zone. He's in the 90s, 94, 93.
So here's Reynolds. One thing, you have a contact hitter up there with 2 on and 1 out. Reynolds has only struck out 16 times all year. Ball 1. So Bedrosian has to get it done now because he's got Puckett on deck. 1 out in the 9th, no score.
They don't expect him to pull the ball. They're shading towards left center.
Big gap in right center field. Uppercutted that. 1-1. Winfield at second, Evans at first, 1 out in the 9th. Fastball hit wide at first. Keith goes down to shortstop. The throw to Bedrosian, no good. Winfield to the plate. The throw to the plate. He is out at the plate to Virgil. 3-6-1-2, and quite a play by Bedrosian.
Yes, it was. He was late in covering first base, and it looked like the throw was going to get by him. They still tried for the double play, a very daring play, maybe not a smart play, but Bedrosian, a diving catch. Now watch, he's very late in covering. Brooks's throw is into the outfield. Look at Bedrosian, a diving catch to save it, and now he looks around and he sees Winfield coming, and Virgil becomes a dead end. He stops and he's just going to go head and head. Look at that.
What a catch by Bedrosian. Otherwise, that's a wild throw, and the winning run walks in. And at the end of 9, we are where we started. No score. Tim Wallach on a check swing. Taps
back to Tom Henke, and we have one away in the 10th inning. Let's take another look at that magnificent Bedrosian play.
A doubtful play by Brooks, but Bedrosian, a diving catch. The man is called safe. Now he gets up, and he sees Winfield, and watch Virgil. He just sets himself up. He knows he's going to get clobbered. Winfield comes in, hits him, and I mean, he's running hard. Watch Virgil.
And that knee, look at where the knee and leg hit him, right between the legs. And that's a good time to bring up a point as Keith Fernandez fouls it back. Had Virgil been injured on that collision, remember, Carter and Diaz had already played. They could have brought either Carter or Diaz back. That's an all-star rule. And I'll tell you what, he just dodged getting hurt. Oh. 0-1. Keith Hernandez way out in front of it, 0-2. 10th inning, no score. And all of a sudden, we're warming up. You got the great throw by Evans in the 9th, and then the magnificent play by Bedrosian in the bottom of the 9th. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He got himself in trouble by breaking late, but he sure saved himself with that tremendous catch and throw.
Keith Hernandez, his dad is a retired San Francisco fireman, so it's another visit home for him. He was the first athlete in the history of Cappuccino High School in San Bruno to make all league in 3 sports: baseball, basketball, and football. 5 times on an all-star team. Well, 1 out, 10th inning, no score. Still 1-2. Sid Fernandez is the left-hander left for Davy Johnson, and his last right-hander is Lee Smith in the bullpen. One and 2. Fouled away. There's Lee. The Cubs play 3 o'clock games, and they trot this fella in around the 6th, 7th inning late in the day. It's adios. This is his kind of a game right now. 1 and 2. Fly ball to center. Kirby Puckett coming up, but that's going to drop for a base hit. Picked up by Fernandez. So Hernandez singles, Fernandez retrieves, and with 1 out, the batter will be Ozzie Virgil, who somehow held onto the ball after that crushing collision with Dave Winfield.
He had enough time to brace himself. He knew he was going to be the accident about to happen, because Winfield, you could see about 3/4 of the way up the line, he was not going to slide. He was going to try to bowl him over, a la Pete Rose and Ray Fosse. But Virgil, he got dumped, but he held on to that ball, which is what he's supposed to do, and he did a great job of it.
Boy, his dad must be very proud of him. He's the son of Ozzie Virgil, who played with the Giants 20 years ago and has been a coach with the San Diego Padres since 1982. He'll do just about anything, but don't ask him to steal a base. He's stolen 2 in 8 years, so he doesn't figure to do any running. And there is the last of the Mohegans, Pedro Guerrero, the last National League regular player to get in. So if Lee Smith comes in, then the only player will be pitcher Sid Fernandez. Then Davy Johnson will have used them all. 0-1. 1-1, Ozzie. On the All-Star team, he has the lowest batting average of any member of the National League team. So with 20 home runs, they welcomed him to the club. 1-1. And he lifts a fly ball to left field, and Dave Winfield is there. 2 down. Now their pitcher spot due up, and Guerrero will be batting for Bedrosian. It is nice to know the rivalry is alive and well. The crowd really has eaten the Dodger players alive, especially in pregame introductions. Hershiser and Guerrero, the crowd really let them have it, which is okay.
fastball hitter. You'll watch him swing. He kind of loops that bat, and that's why he hits those big home runs. Free swinger.
He has a tendency to uppercut, and of course he's thinking home run now, of course, with 2 down in the 10th inning. Ball 1-0. The longest game in All-Star history by innings, 20 years ago, a 15-inning game. The National League won that one 2-1 on Tony Perez home run. He was trying to go for the hills with that swing. 1-1.
Then as we look at Hink, he's a rarity. He doesn't have a win. So he set some kind of a record as a pitcher without a win to be in an All-Star game. But forget the statistics when it comes to pitching. This fellow is saved. That's the name of his game.
1-1 to Guerrero. Pete Hernandez at first. 2 out in the 10. 2 balls and 1 strike. Guerrero was first signed by the Cleveland Indians, traded to the Dodgers in '74. He's been on the DL 5 times in his career. He was on the '81 and '83 All-Star teams. Fouled away down the right field line, out of play. On the '85 squad, he was replaced by Glenn Wilson of the Phillies. So Tom Henke. We've seen Saberhagen, Morris, Langston, Plesac, Righetti, and Henke. That leaves Hurst, Witt, and Howell. Hurst, the left-hander. The only 2 players left for the American League, Pat Tabler, Larry Parrish. 2-2. Ball 3.
We talked about the lack of hitting, but I tell you, it's the kind of a game that you love in an All-Star game because you saw everybody, and it meant something.
Oh, and how? We're really getting to it now. Like in the bottom of the 10th, Kirby Puckett will be followed by Mark McGwire, who almost hit a home run, who almost ruined the American League effort when he threw the ball into left field. And he'll be second man up. 3-2. There goes Hernandez, and there's a ball hit right at second base to Harold Reynolds. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. And at the end of 9 1/2, McGuire's due up second. No score. 1987 All-Star Game has been brought to you by Miller Lite. But great taste, there's only one light beer. By Northwest Airlines. Look who gives you more of the world from more of the USA. And by Aetna and its insurance agents and brokers across America. Work with the best in the business. Aetna. Well, we're looking at the best in the business, and we go to the bottom of the 10th inning, and Lee Smith is now on the mound. The big right-hander with the Chicago Cubs will be facing Kirby Puckett, Mark McGwire, and Kevin Seitzer. Lee Smith, the only pitcher in the major leagues with 25 and more saves each of the last 4 years. He worked an inning on Saturday.
Talk about your David and Goliath, Puckett against Lee Smith.
It's not a sight. But they're not playing jump ball. That's strike 1. Down in the bullpen, Hurst and Howell loosening up. And that would leave Mike Witt, and I don't think we're going to see Witt at all. 1-1. Kirby Puckett came into the game as a pinch hitter and stayed in the game. He grounded out to the right side. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's going to turn the lights out. 1-2. The infield, Hernandez, Samuel, Brooks, and Wallach. Raines, McGee. Virgil behind the plate. Leonard in right. And Lee Smith. 2-2. That last one was 92 miles an hour on the speed gun, so Bedrosian, he got it up there 1 pitch in 96. 2-2. So Puckett goes 0 for 3 as he strikes out, and now make way. A standing ovation for himself, Mark McGwire. Every close-up I've seen of him today, since he was introduced, he looks like he wants to cry. He's really emotionally overwhelmed, and I can understand why.
You certainly can. tell you what great mechanics he's got. Watch that head as he looks at Lee Smith. He's bearing down. He wants to see that baseball.
That last one was 94. Foul back. You know, Monday, they had a workout here, and then they were going to bus the All-Stars to the hotel for the party. He is so cooperative. He is such a kid that he missed the bus. And here is this great kid in Oakland looking for a ride to the hotel. Also, he is the first member of the 1984 United States Olympic team to make the All-Star game. Ball 2, 2-1.
You see, with that compact swing, it's going to be hard to fool him.
Two and one to Mark McGuire. 3-1. On deck is Kevin Seitzer.
He does not get cheated, Mr. Scully.
Now you know why he hit 33. What a rip.
And look where he started that bat from, and to get that kind of a swing.
Got him. Big swinger, no. And at 6'5", 235 pounds, he goes back and takes a seat. 2 down.
Strength against strength, and Lee Smith really let that one go. You can see why this fellow's such a great relief pitcher.
It reduces it to the fundamentals. I'll throw it as hard as I can. You swing as hard as you can. We'll see who wins.
Right. Strength against strength. My fastball against your swing.
So Kevin Seitzer will come up. And Larry Parrish is on deck, which would then leave Pat Tabler as the only player not to have gotten in the game. There's Larry Parrish. No score, bottom of the 10th inning. 1 ball and no strikes to Kevin Seitzer. In there, 1-1. Lee Smith, he is 6'6", listed at 215 pounds. Fastball hit in the air to dead center, and it's carrying well. McGee to the track, and then makes the catch-free out, and that had a chance. That ball was carrying. So Kevin Seitzer, a long out to dead center. No score at the end of 10. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Carson with Johnny's special guest, Bill Cosby, followed by Late Night with David Letterman. The best in late night entertainment right here on NBC. Naturally, here on the West Coast, be seen at its regular time. So here we go to the 11th, and it'll be Hubie Brooks to start it off, followed by Willie McGee and then Tim Raines. Right. So the National League cannot make any more substitutions. They have used everyone but left-hand pitcher Sid Fernandez. The National League has only Sid Fernandez. The American League has Bruce Hurst, Jay Howell, Pat Tabler, and Larry Parrish. They're going to check it first. No swing, says Dick Stello. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ground foul outside of third. If you haven't been with us all night, a quiet game. There was a line drive by Cal Ripken with Winfield at second, flagged by Clark, and they double Winfield off. You had Dale Murphy catching a long fly ball to right field off the bat of Mark McGuire that had a chance to go out. You had Evans throw to the plate that kept Raines anchored at third, and then you had Winfield out on a great play by Bedrosian. Kirby Puckett will take care of that. 1 down. So in the 11th, 1 away. And Willie McGee coming up.
I tell you, for 6 innings, the highlight was the shadows going across the infield, but we got a dandy now.
Yeah, that's right. It was intriguing to say, well, look at the shadows. There's another way of talking about the fact that nothing was happening. They have warmed up. Kevin Seitzer is in on the grass at third. McGuire comes up in front of the bag at first, and Willie McGee checks in. Saberhagen, Morris, Langston, Plesac, Righetti, and Henke. The National, Scott, Sutcliffe, Hershiser, Russell, Frankel, Bedrosian, and Smith. 13 pitchers. 0-2 to Willie McGee. McGee holds the record for the highest batting average by a switch hitter who appeared in 100 or more games. In 1985, a championship year, he hit .353, and he was born here in San Francisco, attended Diablo Valley College in Pleasant Hill. 2-2. Tom Henke came in the 9th inning, remember, inherited a 1-2 count and got Samuel and Leonard. Gave up a base hit in the 10th, and here he is in the 11th. 3-2.
Henke thought he had that one. He hit the target, but it was a little bit low, so thinking a big pitch because, you know, if McGee gets on, look out.
Henke was selected by Toronto in a compensation draft for Texas signing free agent Cliff Johnson. 3-2. Fouled away. And among all the plays, the other one was that fine catch by Matt Noakes going to the base of the screen to get Jeff Leonard. And in the 9th inning, that left Raines at third base. High chopper to shortstop. Fernandez, look how quickly he got rid of the ball. All in one motion. Is he an artist?
He knew exactly what he had to do. Anticipation makes that play. That ball high hop, McGee with great speed, and he started in motion as it comes down, and on its way it is, easy out.
Boy, that a nice play by a shortstop on a tough hitter batting left-handed, and Fernandez, no sweat. As they say in Hawaii, no big thing, brother. Bingo. 2 down. And now here's Tim Raines. Singled, remember, in the 9th inning, stole second, took third on McGuire's throw, and then stayed there. 0-1. He stayed there because Evans threw a dart to the plate, and then Noakes made the fine catch on Leonard.
With the center field shots, you can see if a pitcher comes inside that you can come pretty close to getting that hitter.
1-1.
He's a long way from the plate, but his stride is in, and you've got to come inside because you can't keep staying outside.
Oh, yeah. Hit to left field. Winfield has to go to his knees to make sure that didn't get through. So once again, an extremely dangerous base runner. Tim Raines at first, 2 out, and Juan Samuel the batter.
Remember, it was Raines with the kind of 1 ball, 2 strikes he took off. So he's one of those guys that David Johnson said, you get a jump, you just go whenever you want.
One thing Raines' presence will do, I'm sure it will make Henke drag that left foot. He can't afford to raise that leg really at all, or Raines will steal the base. Two down in the 11th. No score. Never been an all-star game like it. Well, with Raines at first, if you're Samuel, you got to be looking fastball because you know Henke wants to get that ball to Noakes as fast as he can. One thing, you have a National League umpire over there at first base. So far this year, the National League calls many more balks than in the American League. Held on by McGuire. 2 down.
by throwing over there. He's not put a good move yet, and base stealers, they like to see the move to the plate, not the pickoff move. They like to see the move to the plate.
Raines had been 0 for 7 in All-Star games, but he's 2 for 2 tonight. Not going. And it's hit foul down the right field line. That will slice back into the seats out of play. Over 49,000 here, the largest crowd for a baseball game in history. Of course, history would be 1968. Of course, they played World Series here in 72, 73, and 74. Oh and 2.
Hickey's not taking it for granted with the 2-strike count. He knows it was 1 ball, 2 strikes when he ran last time.
You think they'll call pitch out?
No.
Craig, Johnson, Stottlemyre. And he bluffs. And the pitch high. He started to go good enough to make Harold Reynolds break to cover second base. 1 and 2. So we'll see now if Tim Raines decides to give it a try on this count. Raines goes. The pitch is strike 3 called. Forget the throw. The inning is over. Strike 3 called on Juan Samuel. And at the end of 7.5, no score. Well, you know, when you think about it, the first 6 innings, let's face it, was pretty dull. But they have not only warmed up. The last couple of innings, it's like looking at an all-star highlight film. Take, for instance, the collision at home plate.
That was a great play, and it began with a downfield play. But Rosian doesn't get over in a hurry, and why Brooks threw it, you wondered, and now to see it, they're playing baseball now. I think it was almost like, look at this play on your monitor. I mean, he knew he was going to get clobbered.
It was almost Pete Rose and Ray Fosse. Then, of course, Dwight Evans' throw to the plate. That brought back memories of Dave Parker's throw up at Seattle in '79. So they're going about their business now in the bottom of the 11th inning. And Larry Parrish will start it off. So he's the next to last man. Pat Tabler is left.
Then it would be a country expression. I think they would say it all. They're playing some ball now.
Oh, yeah, hardball.
They're playing some ball.
Larry Parrish, who had a couple of big years at Montreal, and drives it to right center, and it's slicing, but it's going to be a base hit as Leonard gets over. If that ball doesn't slice, that goes to the wall for extra bases, but it actually came to Leonard. So Parrish, a line drive single, and Lee Smith now will be pitching to Matt Noakes and then Dave Winfield. Here's another play that was worthy of a second or third look. Matt Noakes on the high foul ball off the bat of Jeff Leonard. That was in the 9th inning with Tim Raines at third. And with this catch, Leonard did not have a chance to make another swing. Big play by Matt. So a former Giant, retired a Giant, and now here he is with the bat. He sacrificed twice. Boy, that thing almost took the bat back with it.
It's a little tough to bunt that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And I think Matt's got to, he's just got to take a little bit of an inventory here. High fastball, tough one. And you can see him almost duck it and hurt his hands. Look at that expression on his face.
It looked like he was going to turn and say, what was that?
Yeah. How can you bunt a bullet?
0-1 to Matt. Parrish's short lead at first. And he got the bunt down, and very well down. So the play to Hernandez. So Noakes does his job. Moves Parrish up a notch. Remember, Fernandez bunted in the 9th inning, and Reynolds bunted in the 7th inning.
That's such a beautiful play when it's executed so perfectly. I mean, he deadened that ball, and you could just see it eating the grass as it worked its way through.
Landed with the velocity of a poached egg, and now here's Dave Winfield. Doubled, grounded out, lined out, and walked. Winfield, the only star to shine all night. He's gone all 11 innings. 1 for 3. He was doubled up at second and out at the plate. He's had a tough night. is backed up. Behind him, Tony Fernandez. No score, bottom of the 11th. Started in breaking ball, ball 1.
Say that Winfield's about as busy a batter in the batter's box before the pitch is made as you'll want to see. I mean, he gets it going like he's wound a little bit too tight. Every part moves as we look at Parrish at second base.
Parrish is a very cautious base runner. When he was at first leading off the 11th, he had a very short lead with Milks up there. And even though he is not being bird dogged by either Brooks or Samuel, he's not going too far off the bag. 2-0, the count to Dave Winfield. He has one break, does Parrish. The outfield is playing very deep for Winfield. And the breaking ball missed, ball 3. So the outfielders will have to make a good throw on a base hit.
Winfield had a 3-0 count. He looked down last time up, and he took the 3-0 pitch. You can bet that he's got the green light if he likes it. It has to be his pitch. A particular pitch in a particular spot is what the situation calls for.
On the corner, breaking ball. Come back, Dave. Hey, pal. I hate to be the one to break the news to you, but that's a strike. Oh, yeah.
He couldn't believe it.
And Don Jenkins, you saying, you hit him, I call him.
Here's the pitch. You be the umpire.
All right, 3-1 to count to Dave Winfield. Parrish at second, one out in the 11th. No score.
I would say from that pitch then that Lee Smith says, I'm not going to give him a good ball to hit because you know he's hitting here if he wants to.
Remember, he grounded out to second and lined out to right. So he's gone the other way a couple of times tonight. Two very big men going head-to-head. Lee Smith at 6'6", 215. Winfield 6'6", 220. And Larry Parrish at second base with one out, carrying a game-winning run.
There's some pretty good strike zones there, I'll tell you.
I tell you, there's a lot of pride on the line right here.
Whoa.
And John McNamara, Dwight Evans on the right, Davy Johnson over in his dugout. This is the head-to-head confrontation. 3-2. 11th inning, no score. Larry Parrish at second base. Big chopper foul. So he's still there.
Say this one of those situations where you say to your pitcher, there ain't no sense thinking, be throwing.
The whole pot's in the middle of the table now. Tony Fernandez on deck. Fouled away. You know, we were talking about ball players and knowledge of the other players. And this is a time now you talk about you can't just feel and grope. You've got to know. Ball game on the line. Virgil trying to guide Lee Smith as best as he can. Alan Trammell, the rest of the American League, up and at him. Willie Randolph back in the corner stretching. 3-2 to Winfield. slow chopper to shortstop. Hubie Brooks to Keith Hernandez for the second out, and boy, the big guy was motoring. He wanted first base. He made it a close play.
He gave it all he had, and he made a very close play out of it.
Well, he was denied first twice, and he really let out.
Look at him take off. He's digging as hard as he can, and just does get nailed.
Boy, what a magnificent athlete he is. Of course, when he was in college, you remember, he was drafted in basketball by the Utah Stars, by the Atlanta Hawks. He was a big man on the campus of the University of Minnesota. Now look out, a runner at third and Virgil Romani infield. Look out for the bunt.
If you don't think these ball players want to win this game, Willie Randolph, that was a good shot, still here. He's been out of this game a long time, but he wants to see it.
So with a runner at third and 2 out in the 11th, there's pressure on Virgil now. He's got to make sure no fastballs go to the screen, except that time. You ever think about that? I mean, I guess it's a... No, you don't. That's negative thinking.
You can't do that. You know, you just know you're going to catch it. You know you're going to block it. I've thought about it since I've been up here, and I'm saying how many times you were in that spot.
0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Parrish, who was not taking any chances at first or second, was not really coming. He's just really watching just in case, and he's kind of a defensive runner. He is not the type who's going to get picked off.
No, nobody's going to steal it back when he's near it.
No way. 1-1 to count to Tony Fernandez. On deck is Dwight Evans. Now back, 1-2.
When you talk about knowing and Virgil trying to lead Lee Smith in there, you know this big guy is saying it's my ball game and I'm going to win it the way I want to win it, and if they're going to lose, if I'm going to lose it, they're going to have to come out and beat me, because he's in control, knows what he wants to throw, and he really is just taking the suggestions of Virgil. He's going to throw that ball that he's got the most confidence in, and obviously it's that great fastball.
And he is not overworked. By that I mean he last worked on Saturday and he worked 1 inning. 1-2 to Tony Fernandez. 2 down. The winner is 90 feet away. Larry Parrish. Got him with it. So the big guy walks off like a big man should. Head held high. And Parrish is held at third. We'll be back. You don't think they want to win this game? Watch. That's the American League.
3 lanes closed.
And here's the National League. Look at Billy Williams. You think he was still playing? Jay Howell will become the 7th American League pitcher, so we've had 14 pitchers in the game. And it's no score. In the day of the lively ball.
Number 15.
Hey, we've just put a new theory into it, though. It's got to be the printing.
And play in the dark. That helps.
With all-star pitchers.
Right. Jeffrey Leonard will start it off. So it is San Francisco versus Oakland. Here in the 12th inning, no score. Leonard fouled out to Matt Noakes in the 9th inning with Tim Raines at third base. And Jay Howell ready to go to work. For Howell and for most observers, I think, it was quite a surprise that he was selected for the All-Stars. He was part of that Ricky Henderson deal with the Yankees back in 1984. Fouled away. Howell was Oakland's lone representative at the All-Star game in '85, but he didn't play. And here he is with everything on the line. So that means only left-handed Bruce Hurst, right-handed Mike Witt, and Pat Tabler. They are the only American Leaguers not to get in. And Sid Fernandez is all alone the only National Leaguer not to get in. Ground ball to short. Tony Fernandez Boy, I've never watched him play, but is he graceful? He is a joy to watch.
He doesn't make any herky-jerky moves, and he has those nice soft hands. He could catch an egg with those soft hands.
You know, you see a lot of National League. You see Ozzie Smith, and he's spectacular, but boy, you talk about a bolt of silk. That Tony Fernandez is something. Here's Tim Wallach. Wallach checked on a half swing and was thrown out in the 10th inning.
Then I've been told that the baseball's used as a special batch made just for the All-Star game, so maybe the argument will continue.
Sure, and I know one thing, they don't glow in the dark.
See, they got the logo on there and Uberod's name. That could weight the ball down.
Oh, sure. John McNamara, the pride of Sacramento. 1-2. John, with a lot of members of his family and friends here, I believe he had 40 tickets for the game. 4-0. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2-2.
So thoughtful, too, of his good friend and the guy coaching the ball called me, old Bill Posdell.
Oh, sure.
And old Mac, he called him. He said, old Bill will be watching.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Jay Howell working on Tim Wallach. Shot foul. Boy, did that turn Hal Lanier around. 2-2. There have been 52 players used in this game out of a possible 56. Chased the bad ball. So Wallach goes down. And Howell picks up a strikeout. If you are keeping score now, just to make sure you have all the pieces of the puzzle put together, that's the way the lineup hit. And you have Hernandez batting now and Virgil on deck. Keith Hernandez singled in the 10th inning. Fastball hit foul outside of first down the line. The honorary coach, Billy Williams, is in the first base coaching box, just as Catfish Hunter worked an inning or 2 for Jim Fregosi. On deck, Ozzie Virgil, who had Winfield hit him but held onto the ball, and so we're in the 12th. Good off-speed pitch for a strike, and Hernandez said, well, I'll be the son of a San Francisco fireman. 0-2. The look on his face as if, now where was I?
Well, he just caught him by surprise. You know, you can talk to other players and they can tell you he's got a good curveball, but that really tells you it's better than average. But you don't know how much it breaks, how quick it breaks.
And got him. So Jay Howell comes in and strikes out Wallach and Hernandez at the end of 11 and a half. No score.
Well, Vin and Joe, here it is. The special All-Star baseball you've been talking about. And yeah, it's got Uberod's signature on it rather than Dr. Bobby Brown or Bart Giamatti. And it does have the special All-Star logo. And evidently, that's made it a heavier ball. Somehow or other, they've taken the rabbit out of it tonight. Let's go back upstairs.
Yeah, as we go to the 12th inning, the scoreboard tells you no score. Now it's time for Rally Cat, the inside-out affair. Don Mattingly and Larry Parrish. Dwight Evans will be followed by Harold Reynolds and then Kirby Puckett. No score in the 12th. Evans has singled and walked and made the good throw in the 9th inning to keep Raines at third base. Ground ball up the middle. Base hit for Dwight Evans. That's the second hit allowed by Lee Smith. Remember, he gave up the leadoff single to Larry Parrish. So Harold Reynolds coming up. Reynolds will be followed by Kirby Puckett. No runs, 6 hits for the American League. No runs, 5 hits for the National League. There have been 3 errors, 2 by the National.
the bunt down and move Evans along. Can't do it. 1 out.
High fastball, and he just punts that thing straight up. And Hernandez not going to try any trick plays. He's just going to take the easy out.
So a disappointed Darrell Reynolds goes back to the dugout, and the batter will be Kirby Puckett. Puckett has grounded out and struck out twice. To repeat, there is only one National League pitcher left, Sid Fernandez. And there's Mark McGwire on deck. There are 2 American Leaguers, Bruce Hurst and Mike Witt. And Hurst is now throwing in the American League bullpen. 0-1 to Kirby Puckett.
Been able to keep that ball at outside part of the plate on Puckett, and he's been chasing it. Russell got him, and Smith got him.
They give him the lines, left and right field, kind of pinching the middle a little bit. 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Evans held on by Keith Hernandez. Big Lee Smith came in to pitch the 10th. Who's worked 2 1/3 innings. Retired the side in order in the 10th. Little slider down and away. 1-2.
That's his target. He's been just nipping at that outside part of the plate and able to get Puckett.
Kirby Puckett has struck out. And now, make way one more time for Mark McGwire. Sid Fernandez begins to loosen up. So you have the 2 left-handers, Hurst and Hernandez, getting ready. We'll see if McGwire lets him get ready. Fly deep to right and struck out. Fouled away. 0-2.
When you talk to the teammates, they say that when he gets 2 strikes, he'll take what you give him. He doesn't have that big home run swing. He'll try to put the ball in play. He's in a tough spot now, 2 strikes.
After seeing that ball he hit to right field in the 7th inning, you can understand he can hit to all fields and home run to all fields. 1-2.
You see Virgil check that webbing. He caught it right in the webbing. He thought it ripped out.
This man will rip your webbing out. Dwight Evans at first with 2 down in the 12th. 2-2. In case you wonder, in looking at Evans at first base about Hernandez holding the bag, Dwight has stolen 4 bases during the regular year, but he's been thrown out 5 times, so he's not really a threat. But Keith is still right at the bag. Fouled away. So Lee Smith, who had that massive confrontation with Dave Winfield. Same situation now with big Mark McGwire. Deuce and wide on McGwire. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. 12th inning, no score. High slider, ball 3. So with a full count and 2 down, it's not the runner that John McNamara would like to have going, but Davy Johnson's probably thinking if a runner has to go, I'll take my chances with Dwight Evans. And Keith Hernandez indicating he's not going to be on the bag. 3-2 to McGuire. There goes the runner, and there's a comebacker. And Lee Smith has it over to Keith Hernandez. Well, are you superstitious? No runs. One hit, a man left. We're going to the 13th, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station. Don't forget, you folks back east, be sure to stay tuned for local news coming up after the game, followed by, and I think there's going to be a new name for that show, The Late Late Night with David Letterman. This is how close we came to going home, and it was Ozzie Virgil's fine moment.
Look at Winfield's knee once again. I mean,
I don't want to look at his knee one more time.
Down he goes. And Winfield, now watch, as Virgil comes up, he kind of pats him as if to say, hey, I tried to score, and you made a good play.
So here's Ozzie now at the plate. Ball one. 1 ball and no strikes. 13th inning, no score. Remember, the longest All-Star game, 15 innings. And Tony Perez won it with a home run in the 15th. Virgil and Bedrosian were traded for each other before last year, and even though Virgil's an all-star, the Braves could sure use Bedrosian back because they were counting on Bruce Sutter, and he's unable to do it. Line drive, and it's a base hit into left center. Puckett, who is deep, comes in to get it. So Ozzie Virgil opens up the 13th with a single to center. Hit number 1 off Howell. And hit number 6 for the National League. You have to go back a while to find a leadoff man to get on base for the National League. And the answer is, this is the first time the National League has had a leadoff man get on.
Lee Smith with a Montreal helmet on is going to be bunting.
You bet. Anything that's handy. You're out of uniform. So Sid Fernandez down in the bullpen, warming up. Right. There's Sid Fernandez, and in the American League bullpen, Bruce Hurst. We're down to the 2 left-handers. And they said, I don't believe we'll see Mike Wood at all. Zeisser in on the grass, and that's going to cost a strike. Mike Wood pitched Sunday, so it's questionable we would see him tonight. Now, you're wondering about pitchers getting a base hit in the All-Star game? You have to go back to 1969 when Steve Carlton did it. He had an RBI double. Pitchers are 0 for 19 since. Did he? They're going to check. Yes, he did. Dick Stello punches him out from 90 feet away. So Lee Smith, 1 away, unable to bunt. We'll see just how big that is now. Brooks and McGee back to back.
They do it in batting practice, but he's not even close to it. I mean, that big body, he only had about 1/16th of it into that one.
So Hubie Brooks finishing up for Ozzie Smith at shortstop. Strike. Fly to center last time up. I was just looking up something. Lee Smith has not sacrificed for the Cubs this year. And looked it.
It looked it.
Yeah.
He was more than a bit rusty. More rustic.
1-1. Ozzie Virgil held on by Mark McGuire. Top of the 13th. No score. And that's hit into right field base hit. Virgil will hold, of course, with Dwight Evans' gun on him. So 2 on with 1 out, and Willie McGee coming up.
And don't think for a minute you say, well, if he'd have bunted, the run would have scored. I doubt it.
No way.
No way he would have come in because Evans was charging and that arm is accurate and as strong as it is.
McGee, the switch hitter, if you're wondering about bringing in Bruce Hurst. And then you have Tim Raines. So that's the one advantage right now that Davy Johnson has. He has back-to-back switch hitters. McGee with 3 ground balls takes ball 1. No run, 7 hits for the National. No run, 6 hits for the American. 1-0. And that's hit to right field. Winfield going back on the ball. And the runners will hold. So 2 on and 2 out. And Tim Raines coming up. Raines is 2 for 2. Single to center. Stole second, took third on McGuire's overthrow, but stayed there. And then in the 11th inning, singled and was trying to steal when Samuel struck out to win the inning. And waiting his turn on deck, Samuel. With Virgil, the runner at second base, and arms like Winfield and Evans out there. It'll be tough to get him home. One ball and no strikes to Tim Raines. Breaking ball, ball 2. Virgil at second base, and of course he's the big man. U.B. Brooks at first. 2-0. Line drive into left center field. That's a base hit, and it will go to the wall. In comes Virgil. In comes Brooks. Raines to third, and he's in there for a triple. So Jay Howell is rubbed up for 3 hits and 2 runs here in the 13th inning.
You saw a classic picture of a classic swing. That head was right down on that bat. As he saw the pitch to the outside part of the plate, he went with it. Virgil scores easily, and Brooks, with 2 outs taken off at the crack of the bat, he scores easily, and Raines is on third with a triple.
And Samuel was going to pick him up, except for a great catch by Harold Reynolds. That saved a run. However, 2 runs, 3 hits, and 1 left. And at the end of 12 and a half innings, National League 2 and the American League coming up. Here's how they were received in the National League dugout. Mel Stottlemyre, Davy Johnson, Roger Craig, first Brooks, then Virgil. And here's how they were dispatched to the dugout. Here's the pitch again to Tim Raines. Or is this the catch? This is going to be a catch at second base.
Samuel hits that ball hard, and Reynolds gets up. Didn't have to get up quite that high. It was sinking, and he really makes a good play to come up with it. Kind of an acrobat on that move, but good play.
Well, I say one thing for Davy Johnson. Not only is he now leading, he has done it. He has used all of his players. And it's the old story. All good things come to those who wait. Raines 0 for 7 is 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs tonight. And the last National Leaguer, Sid Fernandez, goes to the mound. Fernandez will be pitching to Kevin Seitzer and Pat Tabler. So Seitzer, Tabler, and Noakes. Fernandez trying to nail it down and give the win to Lee Smith. Kevin Seitzer finishing up the game at third base. Almost tried to bunt and walk into that one. Ball 1. Just did get out of the way.
As he squares around, that ball sails inside, and that gives you that quick 1-2 dance to
2-0 the count to Kevin Syson. John McNamara. Down 2-0, bottom of the 13th. And now Fernandez, ball 3.
That'll make the manager kind of wince and turn and twist a little bit.
Fernandez is about 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which is one reason he has blossomed. And 9-5. And of course, Johnson relies on him heavily, as he should. And he is walking. So leading 2-0. Fernandez walks the leadoff man. Now, getting the leadoff man aboard in the top of the 13th was very important for the National League, and the only time they did it all night. The American League, however, had the leadoff man on in the 12th, the leadoff man on in the 11th. The leadoff man on in the 9th, the leadoff man in the 7th, the leadoff man in the 2nd. So they squandered opportunities, and here's Pat Tabler. Pat Tabler, who among other things in his career has been involved in deals that involved Jay Howell. Right. With 7 home runs this year. 0-1 to Pat. 0-2. He had a good rip. You wait this long, you're not going to get cheated, right?
Not him, anyhow.
No. Nice earth first. 0-1.
Fernandez has that unique delivery. Looks like he's throwing uphill to you. He kind of sneaks up on you. Sneaky, I guess you would describe him.
Yeah, the first thing Noel Stottlemyre did was try and get him to straighten up a little more so he wasn't throwing uphill. Fastball. Oh, he can move it, and Tabler goes down. And I'm sure if you're Pat Tabler, you go back to the dugout and you think to yourself, that's just great. I spent 5 years in the minor leagues. Came up with the Cubs in 81, kicked around, finally make it to the All-Star game, sit around all night, take my hacks and go sit down. And here is Matt Noakes.
But he has one consolation.
He was here.
That's right. He could be home watching it.
Matt Noakes sacrificed in the 11th inning, but that's not what they need now. Fouled away, 0-1. So all of the American League players have been in. Everyone on the National League team has been in. There's the pitcher of record, Lee Smith. And the only pitchers yet to appear, Bruce Hurst and Mike Witt. Everybody else in the game. 0-1. Little fist foul off to the left, out of play, and the count 0-2.
You know, again, not to belabor the point, but Willie Randolph on the other side, we saw him in there. You look over in the National League and we take that shot of Lee Smith. Who's sitting next to him? Andre Dawson. They want to watch it. Do they want to win? Sure they do.
Great seeing the reaction, whether the disappointment or the excitement and the happiness, you can tell.
There they are.
No balls and 2 strikes. On deck, and it seems like he comes up every inning, and that's because he's the only star to play the entire game, Dave Winfield. And anytime he represents at least a tying run, it's a long way from being over. 2-0 National, bottom of the 13th. 1-2. Boy, a rising fastball inside. You see Ozzie Virgin kind of cock his head as if to say good pitch.
Well, he's in good shape now for his pitch of decision right here. He can make it happen. He set this pitch up with that last one in good shape.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Matt. Just inside. Tried to jam him and missed the inside corner. So a full count to Matt Noakes.
everybody on the prowl in the national dugout. And they're hanging and twisting and sweating it out in the American. 3-2 to Matt Noakes. Ground foul. Came inside, and Noakes was quick enough to get those hips out of the way, pulled it foul. Dale Murphy, who played earlier and made a big catch on the ball hit by Mark McGuire, fighting off the sun in unfamiliar territory in the right field corner. 3-2 to Matt Noakes. Seitzer at first, Hernandez not holding it. High pop foul around the plate, Ozzie Virgil. Now you really have a little spice to the situation. The only man to go the distance is now the man that stands between the National League and a victory, Dave Winfield. You remember that confrontation he had with Lee Smith? Now he goes against a left-hander. Winfield has doubled, grounded out, lined out, walked, and was out at the plate and grounded to short.
He's had one of those time-and-a-half days. He's been busy.
And from the looks of things, he's enjoyed every minute of it, especially the challenges. So Winfield is the tying run with Seitzer at first, 2 out in the 13th, 2-0 National League. And it comes down to New York, New York. Mets versus Yankees. Back, ground ball to third. Wallach down to second to Samuel, and it's over. At 9:19 Oakland time, the National League gets a 5-4 force play, and this one is in the books, which means the National League in extra innings and all-star games, 8 wins and no losses. The pitchers of record, Lee Smith gets the honor of the win, Jay Howell suffers the loss, and there is a save for Sid Fernandez. So Davey Johnson atop the world right now, winner of the World Series and now the All-Star Game. For the National League, they've won 37 times. The American League has won 20. There had been a split of 4 games, but the National League that at one stage had won 11 straight and 13 out of 15 come back to win this one. 4 pitchers lost the All-Star Game in their home park. Whitey Ford, Don Drysdale, Don Newcomb, and now Jay Howell, so he's in very good company. Tonight's NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game is Tim Raines. Miller Lite is happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Tim Raines to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and I don't think we're alibying in any way, but the start of the game at twilight did exactly what most folks thought it would do. It cut down scoring and hitting and made it almost impossible.
It really did that, but Mr. Raines got that big base hit, and Bob Costas is down there with him now.
Bob, go to it.
All right, Vin, thanks very much. For Andre Dawson, for Hubie Brooks at various times. Tonight, the way it went, you're the leadoff man for David Letterman.
Well, it's true. You know, I say 3 or 4 months ago, I was thinking about getting a club, and I wasn't really thinking about being in an All-Star game. And things worked out for me early to get a chance to get here. And to be able to get my first hit, my first RBI, I'm just elated about it.
How badly did the National Leaguers want to win? They talk about this game being an exhibition. What was the feeling like on the bench?
Well, I'm sure every time we play this game, we feel that we are the best league. We always call those guys the minor leagues of baseball, and we want to win this one bad. We lost last year. We thought that we'd come back in here and not win lose 2 in a row.
What did you hit for the game-winning triple, which I guess is what we're looking at right here? Yeah, this is it.
Well, he threw me a fastball away. The count was 2-0, and I was looking for a fastball down the middle of the plate, threw it out over the plate. I just was trying to hit it hard. I wasn't worried about, hitting out the park or anything. I just got good wood on it and went in the gap.
Everybody, with the exception of Tim Raines, seemed to have trouble with the bats tonight. What's your explanation?
Well, I feel good. I told my wife before I came here today that I was going to get a hit for her, and I wasn't really thinking about getting 3, but I just want to get that one hit. I've been here, this is my 7th year, and I hadn't got a hit in all 6 years, so hopefully I came in this game with the attitude I want to get at least 1 and end up getting 3.
Very quickly, you got in the game late, I know, but how bad was the twilight early?
Well, I didn't really tell. When I got in, the shadow was all the way out in left field, so I really didn't have any trouble. The guys were telling me, though, they were having trouble seeing the ball.
Tim, congratulations on being the game's MVP.
Thank you.
Let's go back upstairs. Vin and Joe.
All right, Bob, and our heartiest congratulations to Tim Raines and the National League. It's great to see the best play, and it's great to see the best do what they do best.
It was a dandy.
Tim Raines with his triple, driving in 2 runs to give the National League a 2-0 victory. So the National League has now won 37, the American League 20, and there has been 1 tie. A reminder, due to the length of tonight's game, the Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson will not be seen in the East. Stay tuned following local news for Late Night with David Letterman. Well, Joe and I will be chatting with you from Candlestick